Hey everybody, DH Thorne here, coming at you live tonight on this rather warm but not too bad Thursday evening. Hope everyone is doing well. We've already got Raquel Kelly here already saying good evening, DH. Good evening to all. Kelly Meadows is here. Hope you're doing good. She says good evening to all. Stay hydrated and cool as y'all can. Humid as a hothouse today and hotter than things of hell in many places tomorrow. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, after I lost all this weight, the heat doesn't bother me like it used to as much. I wouldn't want to sleep in anything over a certain temperature, but it's not as bad as it used to be. But I get it. I think a lot of people are getting hyped up about heat, though, I will say, because to me, so far, at least where I am, the temperatures aren't really any hotter than they usually are this time of year. They're usually in the 90s, and it hasn't really even hit the 90s very much. So I don't know. Tough to say. Could go either way. But I think other places are getting kind of hot. Joffrey's here, says hello. Alexander C says sup. Solora S says hello, hello. Good evening, everybody. And Sparky66, I think is a new name. If I've seen you before and I forgot you, don't be offended. I remember people, not names, if that makes sense. It says greetings, DH. Greetings to you too, Sparky. Jockster's here. What's up, Jockster? It says hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Fat Albert. It's been a while. Haven't seen that since long ass forever ago. DK Blockenschlager. It's been a little bit. What's up, Blockschlager? Didn't you leave my Discord or something? I know sometimes people lose their accounts or the bots clean you guys out. Every now and then I do a bot purge, like a purge with a bot, and I clean out accounts on the Discord that haven't been very active. So long as I don't even think you have to post. I think you just have to lurk. So long as you're lurking, you don't get kicked out. But the Discord hasn't been as active as it used to be. Part of that has been, I think, because we haven't done as much community stuff there in a while. It's basically just become kind of a meme repository. Fleshy kind of got sick of social media, and I get burnt out on it too, and it's a lot of drama and politics and everything else. So I haven't been as active, except for just low energy shit, just memes and stuff. But I've also just been like really, really, really obsessed with trying to do this book that I've been working on. And, it's difficult, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I've definitely gotten past the hardest part. It's just, I guess it's one of those things where my philosophy has gotten to a point where I want to write a book talking about really deep ideas that changed my practice of magic completely over the years, and I'm developing sort of a system around that. So it's really difficult because part of the problem is to understand this philosophy, you have to also understand the fundamental principles of non-duality as understood by like sort of a generic non-dual understanding. And part of the problem is I don't want the book to be too heavily weighted just rehashing non-dual philosophy. I do enough of that in my videos and all of that, and non-duality is a thing that you don't really learn from a book because it's not something you learn. It's a total change of perspective of life. It's literally like suddenly you see a new color or something. Like it's not something you learn. It's not a skill. It's not something you understand, although you do understand it. It's not something that you learn like physics or something. Non-duality is a thing that is like, it's a mystical perspective. And once you attain it, you don't go back to the materialistic one. It's impossible. It would be like denying that you saw the sun. It's like you can't. It's just like Plato's cave. You don't go back into the cave and say this is the right thing. You just can't. Once you leave the cave, you can never go back. In a very similar sense, non-duality is like that. And the thing that I'm writing about is sort of taking non-duality and using it as sort of a more rational underpinning for all forms of magic. Like it's this thing that I've come up with. It has been working for me for years. And as I have been perfecting it, it's a, some people might be like, oh, that's it. But it's not though. It's a major shift, and if you haven't attained like a non-dual view, you can still use it, but having a non-dual perspective makes it that much more potent, you know. So it's a difficult thing. I really want to get this book out and make it the equivalent of Become the Maelstrom. Like the whole point of this book is to be like Become the Maelstrom 2, so to speak, but not Become the Maelstrom 2. It's like Become the Maelstrom sequel in spirit, but it's something completely different. You know, and part of the issue for me isn't just the writing of this. That's not really the issue. I have a lot to say. So it's not like I don't know what to say. It's that I want to make it concise, readable, and not just sound like a schizo. Like, you guys ever see the Castile soap, you know, and it's just like schizo all wrapped around it? Like, I don't want my book to just be schizo rambling. It's got to be something that can be applied, and it's got to be something that I can teach from, you know, with classes and things. So I don't know. We'll see how much longer it'll be. I thought I'd get it almost done by now because I had finished the hard part, but I'm still in the hard part because I'm trying to figure out how much fundamental non-duality to include. And then not only that, which tradition to teach from. The Advaitin tradition is the most, especially like the Western interpretation of it, like Rupert Spira and a couple other guys, a couple other guys and gals do a really good job of it. So like the Western edition of Advaita is my favorite. It's the most direct, and you know it doesn't include a lot of the religiosity or stuff that's found in more traditional Advaita. So it doesn't talk about incarnation and karma and dharma. Yes, reincarnation's part of it, but not in that almost dogmatic, you know, do X, get Y, then get Z type of relationship, where you're supposed to like completely let go of, you know, as if the point is to never incarnate again, you know. I think some of that stuff is kind of nonsense. To me, it's kind of nonsense. I think it's sort of a way. It's like a carrot on a stick, you know. It's like you're saying, oh, life sucks, so why would you want to live it again? If you do this, you can go into the darkness forever in total peace and bliss. And okay, that's cool, but that's not actually my understanding. As someone who's attained a fairly deep non-dual perspective and has retained it and integrated it, the idea of not wanting to incarnate again tells me you're still attached, and you will, whether you want to or not. Like you still have karmic attachment then. You know, I like the saying, if you're not ecstatic at the prospect of reincarnating another 5,000 times as this person living this exact life over again, you haven't attained enlightenment yet. Like you're not ready to just disappear. Like you don't get it yet. You know, and I ask myself that question all the time. Would I be willing to live this life 5,000 times in a row exactly as it is? And other than the idea of it being boring, but if I forget myself between each one, I don't see why not. I'm pretty happy with the way my life is, even though not everything's perfect. Nothing ever is. It's not about that. It's about, you know, are you able to be at peace with the way things are? And at the moment, and I've been through some shit, like I don't think I haven't. Yeah, you know, like I think I got it pretty good. So, you know, it certainly could be worse. So if I was given the blessed gift of avidya, in other words, forgetfulness, you know, through incarnation, then yeah, I wouldn't even know I was doing it 5,000 times in a row. See, Twisted Jack, that's why it sounds like hell, is if you were aware you were living the same life 5,000 times in a row, yeah, that does sound like hell. Just from the boredom, not because, you know, not because it's like this life is so bad, but because I would like to do something else than just do this over and over and over again. But obviously, we do not actively remember our lives each time we incarnate. And there's a lot to that I could talk about. Maybe I'll do that in a minute. But we don't remember, you know, what came before. And that's, you know, people go, oh, that's a very convenient, you know, certain skeptics would be like, that's a very convenient way to be. In other words, it's like circular reasoning almost. But it's not. It's actually very rational and very practical, and there are ways to check it. There's ways to sort of test it. But that's sort of another topic. But anyway, so this book, you know, I am trying to present a distillation of non-duality, like a non-dogmatic form of non-duality that doesn't have any religious baggage or cultural baggage. Like I sort of want what they call maybe, I don't necessarily want to say Western non-duality, but like contemporary Western non-duality, because Western non-duality can go back to, you know, the forever ago. I mean, you're talking about Parmenides or Parmenides or however you want to say his name. You know, he was basically a non-dualist. If you listen to what he wrote or read what he wrote and what he believed in a form of non-duality, like, you know, and maybe not the consciousness form of non-duality, but some form of it. So Western philosophy has had non-duality in it for thousands of years. And anything that's monist, that's a form of non-duality. You know, pantheism's a kind of, you know, non-duality. At least it can be anyway. You know, that's why I consider Hermeticism to be compatible with the non-dual philosophy. I also consider Kabbalah to be compatible with the non-dual philosophy. Neoplatonism is absolutely compatible. And let's not forget that in India, there are several different interpretations of non-duality. There is Advaita, there's Vishishta Advaita, there's Kashmir Shaivism, and there's a whole bunch of, there's even duality, there's even Dvaita, and they're all actually compatible with each other. If you were able to navigate their differences, they're actually, believe it or not, compatible. They almost nest within each other. It's like Advaita is maybe the more precise or more accurate or more, I don't want to say austere, but like the more fundamental non-duality. Vishishta Advaita is maybe like one level down. It's Advaita, but you get to keep your gods and you get to have not separate souls, but individual. So there's one Brahman, there's one being, there's one totality, and everybody is like a wave in that totality. So there's distinction, but not separation. I lean towards that a little bit more than pure Advaita. And then what they call Dvaita fits right in as an expression of what non-duality looks like when incarnate. You know, it's like Taoism and Zen Buddhism. They have a dualistic element, but they are arguably a non-dual tradition, right? So there's so much going on with all that. Anyway, I am trying to figure out, and this is where my hardship is. I guess I'm putting myself, maybe I'm being a little too critical of myself. I'm writing this book trying to make it something that people of all skill levels can gain something from. I don't want it to be just for people who already have a really good grasp of non-duality, but I don't want to make it so basic that someone advanced can't pick it up and go, whoa, I never thought of that before. So at the same time, though, I don't want to make this boring book where I am like giving you a textbook of like teachings about non-duality that I could better do as a lecture or a consultation. So I'm trying, you know, non-duality is not something you learn by books. Books can help, and good teachers will write down their good arguments, their good teachings, but you don't learn non-duality from a book. It just, you can learn about it, but you don't attain a non-dual perspective from a book. So I'm in this sort of holding pattern where how much non-duality do I want to put in this? Because the whole thing is based on non-duality. If you don't have at least a working understanding of it, even if you haven't attained a non-dual perspective, so maybe you haven't hit a mystical state of gnosis or samadhi, or you haven't reached Turiya or whatever, I want you to still be able to get something out of it. You know, I don't want you to have to be a master, you know, because you don't have to be. You just have to be mindful of these ideas and they can work for you. So, but I don't want it to be faith-based either. I want the goal of this book should be related to the non-dual teaching that it is leading you towards moksha, towards enlightenment. And that's difficult. So that's the trouble I'm having is like, I'm sort of like, you know, it's like I'm trying to write a book about something, but I feel the need to explain everything else surrounding it because I'm afraid that the audience won't understand without it. Like, I'm trying to explain cars, so now I have to explain the wheel first, because if you don't understand what a wheel is, then telling you all about a car won't help you, right? So yeah, anyway, that's my trouble with this. Jason Schneider gave me a 5-spot with a bunch of balloons and a 1. Thank you very much for that beautiful super chat, Jason. I appreciate that. I really do. If you have a question, usually I like super chats to be the way you get my attention for a question or comment that you want me to read out. So if you have a question or comment that you'd like me to read out, please tag me or put in all caps your question or comment, and I will try to respond to that ASAP if I see it. But if you don't have one, then I doubly appreciate your generosity with that donation of $5. Thank you, Jason. I really appreciate that. All right, let's see. A bunch of other people joined us. Zach M is here. What's up, Zach M? Says, hope everyone's in good spirits. Let's see. Jay Baldale is here. What's up? Hail, Jade Baldale. I love that name. I just can never pronounce it right. I think I do pronounce it okay, but I don't feel like I do. Let's see. Gogo, he says, hi, Legend. How are you? What's up, Gogo? Hi, Legend yourself. Thank you for the really warm welcome, Gogo. I appreciate that. Twisted Jack is a good name. I agree. Charles 7211 says, hi, everyone. What's up, Charles? I appreciate you. I am glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Raquel Kelly asks, how do you spell Rupert Spira's name? I think that's actually spelled correctly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you spelled that right. But if you look up, just even put Rupert non-duality, it'll be the first. He's very famous at this point. I'm definitely an admirer of his success. He's a little bit sleepy for me. Like, his lectures can put me to sleep, but I like his lectures. They're very good. Raquel Kelly says, DH, what could be a form of cultural baggage? Okay, so some of what I was just describing, like the differences between Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, Kashmir Shaivism, several other traditions that are considered non-dual. Cultural baggage is like Christianity has cultural baggage. You can absolutely, even as a left-hand path motherfucker, work with Christian lore and mythology as your foundation. The problem is there's a lot of baggage with it. So, for example, as a Luciferian, I am more aligned with the Gnostic Luciferianism. Further, I'm a Promethean Luciferian. In other words, I consider Lucifer to be of the exact same archetype that Prometheus was, that Enki was, that several other deities, Shiva as well, they all have a Promethean liberator, enlightenment, you know, light bringer quality about them. They are all there to bring something from the divine to you, to empower you, to liberate you, etc. So Lucifer, the Lucifer that I work with, is a Promethean figure. It doesn't even have to be Lucifer. It doesn't even have to be a fallen angel. That's just the myth that I prefer. especially wrapped in a sort of Gnostic context, especially because when I was a child, I channeled certain things about that stuff, that war in heaven, if you will, that I'm tempted to put in this book, by the way. But I don't want to be too scattered. I don't want to make it too many things at once. I'm tempted to put those channelings from memory, because remember, these were like 30 years ago. And all of those notebooks got burnt or lost or given to other people, which I can never get them back. I found a couple of pieces. I think they're behind me, but I don't know where they are. I have to dig through it. I found a couple of pages, believe it or not, some loose leaf pages in an old high school yearbook. So I must have like written some stuff down like after high school from a channeling or something. And I must have jotted it down and shoved it in my yearbook. And there it was. I was like, oh, cool. There's a little tiny remnant, a little, like, you know, I had several books. My friends and I kept notes and stuff. I had a couple of those little black and white, you know, notebooks that you get, you know. I had some spiral notebooks, like 3-ring binder notebooks. I had a whole bunch of stuff. And pretty much all that was either burnt, or the people who were one guy was keeping records in his way. I had my own notes that I was taking either on my thoughts or my channelings. Other people were jotting down notes from channelings or things that we experienced. They were journaling it. All of that's, I remember a lot of it, but I wrote it down so I wouldn't have to remember it all. So you know what I mean? So I wish I didn't lose it all. And there's certain people I could probably talk to and at least ask them to help me fill in the blanks, but I'm not really good friends with them anymore. So it would be a little, I tried talking to one of them like a year and a half, 2 years ago, maybe more. And it just, you know, the magic of our friendship was gone. Like we didn't really get along like we used to. So that's kind of gone. All right, but back to, I'm sorry, I went way off on a tangent. The point is, cultural baggage is, if you explain to people like, yes, I work with Lucifer, that's got cultural baggage. They immediately think of the fallen angel that's talked about. Trust me, the canonical lore of Lucifer is all bullshit. It's all mythology that was, in my opinion, originally used to demonize heretics and Gnostics, specifically Gnostics, because they called their version of Jesus Lucifer in several different examples. So in my opinion, I think that's one of the reasons why Lucifer stuck as the name of Satan to the Christians, even though it's not. It never was. It was a typo, basically. It was originally, it was like the equivalent of a typo or a mistranslation or whatever, you know, from around the 3rd century, from the Vulgate. They screwed up a translation and it stuck. And then the Gnostics were using that term for their version of Jesus. And so everything got screwy and it stuck. And just over hundreds of years, it became a canonical thing. Lucifer is Satan, and etc. So the Lucifer that I deal with, the mythology is generally centered around that fallen angel archetype, but as the good guy, like the god that he rebelled against really is wrong. You know, it's the demiurge, basically. Now, do I take that literally? No, I never did. Not in 30 years. I haven't taken that kind of stuff literally, because I now understand that while there is a multiverse and somewhere in that those things may play out exactly as written, that doesn't mean that they necessarily apply to this incarnation of the multiverse, if you will. This is mythology, and mythology is true in the spiritual sense, but it's not true in the objective material sense. There is no heaven, no hell, no fallen angels, not in the way that a theist wants it to be. Yet those entities do exist, and that's my point. Is it's not a simple matter of literal truth when it comes to the spirit world. It's something more paradoxical, something spiritual, something subjective, something personal. It's all real, but not in the way that superstitious myth and theism tries to make it sound. So that's a part of the baggage I'm talking about. So non-duality has a cultural baggage being from India, being from that culture. There are terms, there are concepts, and there's things that fit together a certain way. So I differentiate, for example, Advaita from non-duality, even though they're basically the same thing. Advaita is a more cultural, Indian cultural version of non-duality. It still means, it's literally not two, it's literally the same word, okay? But Indian Advaita, or Advaita Vedanta, is not secular, it's not general, it's not generic. It's based on the Vedas, it's based on the rishis, the sages from, like, you know, X thousand years ago, okay? It's like taking the Bible and interpreting it in a non-dual way. So non-duality is not a scripture, it's an interpretation of scripture. It's an interpretation, that's why it's called Advaita Vedanta. It's non-dual Vedanta, non-dual the Vedas, and the Vedas being the Bhagavad Gita, I can't think of all the different books, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of books that are primary. And then you have Adi Shankara, or Shankaracharya, or however you want to say his name, did a non-dual interpretation of the Vedas. And that isn't new. Shankara wasn't the first one. He was just the first one to write it down and pass it on in that way. So it began to spread. But he was actually accused of being a Buddhist because his philosophy was almost the same as Buddhism, just with more Vedic instead of Gautama, instead of being about Gautama. So it's interesting because there's something to that. That's not to say he was a Buddhist, by the way, but it was very similar to the Buddhists. It was very similar. And this was actually the argument that, I think it was Ramajuna, I forget, whoever the founder of come on, brain, Vishishtadvaita, the qualified non-dualism is what it means. The teacher of that accused him of being a Buddhist, I believe. Anyway, the point is, that's what I mean. There's baggage. If I write a book about Advaita, then I'm going to get people from India and I'm going to get people from that culture criticizing it, going, that's not Advaita. And they're right, it's not. So I've got to be careful to avoid the cultural baggage of Advaita, even though Advaita is the #1 influence on my work. The #2 influence would probably be Neoplatonism and Gnosticism, like kind of tied. Then I'd go Hermeticism and Kabbalah would be tied for 3rd and 4th. You know, like they're kind of equal. So Advaita is the most influential, but they all work into my non-dual philosophy, which is a more Western non-dual philosophy, meaning it's not attached to Advaita or India or that culture, but that culture serves as the main influence. But then I take that, had my own realizations of it, and I interpret it through my own lens and teach it that way. And the teachers of Advaita that I appreciate the most, like Arsha Bodhi Center and the New York Vedanta Society and all that, you have to understand that in every culture, there is tribalism about religion and spirituality. There's people who just hate each other and blah, blah, blah. But one good thing about Indian spirituality, the culture anyway, is that there is, as much as there is like cults and bickering and argument between them, they are much more chill about it than the West usually is. Okay. I'm not saying it's perfect, It's not. I mean, look at it. You get a lot of, trust me, you get a lot of the same shit. But traditionally, India was a little bit more free and open when it came to spirituality than the West. The West is all about, well, at least after Abrahamism took over the West in the form of Christianity primarily, the West became really uptight, and you weren't allowed to believe anything outside of that. But up till that point, Europe was a little bit like India with a bunch of different religions and things, and everybody was open, and it wasn't like, oh my God, that person's not a Christian, kill him. So in India, there was a lot, as much as they would argue and bicker and try to assert dominance, at the end of the day, the modern teachers are way more like, if it gets you there, we don't judge it. So Buddhists can talk alongside Advaitins, and Advaitins can talk alongside this and that. That's not to say there aren't certain groups that are problematic and get cultish, but the better ones are, they're just like, if you come to understand consciousness as the divine, and that the divine is in all things and everything is then we're cool. Like, you don't have, you can interpret it completely. So think of it like the different denominations of Christianity. They can enter a same room and talk to each other, and they'll argue, but they're going to mostly, we all agree in God, so we're good. In a very similar sense, a lot of these traditions, even the Advaitin versus the divide, I can't say, we'll say the non-dual versus the dual versus the qualified non-dual, they can go into the same room, disagree, but generally respect each other, you know, and that's important. So I don't think traditional, especially the guys that I watch, I don't think they jump down my throat for interpreting it the way I do. Some of them have even interviewed with Rupert Spira, who is, you know, has similar ways of describing things as I do. I've picked up a few of his ideas, of taking them for my own. And he doesn't have any problem with, so I guess my point is that I'm not worried so much about like those people talking shit to my book, but I don't want to insult the culture by colonizing it, if you will, and saying D.H. Thorne is like an expert of Advaita. I'm not. I'm absolutely not. I will never say that I'm an expert. Trust me, I'm a fan, okay? But it's like I'm a fan of guitars, but I don't know how to play one. So I'm not an Advaitin, but I do like the way Advaitins think. I do like their teachings. And whatever I can glean from that teaching and then make my own is where I'm at. Okay. So the book being based in non-duality, I sort of have to at least give the fundamental principles of it, and if possible, give you guys some kind of lead, you know, like a list of teachers and books and things to study alongside it. That's probably what I'm going to do. Because if I try to cover non-duality itself, that could be a book all its own. And I don't want to write that book because I don't need to. There's so many other books that do as good or better a job than I would. I know some of you guys who might really like me won't agree with that, but I promise you, there are people way more qualified, believe it or not, to write books about that subject itself than I am, partially because I just don't have the urge to do it. I'm not inspired to do it. I love talking about it, but writing a book about it and talking about it are two different things. So what I'm writing about is an interpretation. It's a form of non-duality, specifically useful for magic. And that's why I want to keep it concise. And I don't want a lot of cultural baggage or religious baggage or anything else to get in the way. I feel really thirsty today. Whew. Oh boy, I missed a whole bunch of chats. All right, let's see. Okay. Jason says, thank you. I'm just grateful. You're welcome, sir. Well, thank you again. Let's see. Mystic, what's up, Mystic? Hello, everyone. Hope you have a nice day. You too, Mystic. We appreciate that. I'm reading all your comments, guys. If I seem quiet, give me a minute. Raquel Kelly likes Gnostic Luciferianism as well. Dude, it really is. It's my favorite mythology. It just is. Like, that's not to say there aren't mythologies that I like as much or sometimes better, but I think that because I was born and raised as a Christian, and because of the things I channeled as a kid or teenager, that sort of Christian form of mythology, but that Gnostic, that alternative form, really appeals to me. I got a little bit of the burps tonight. I actually cheated tonight. I went out and I had pizza and lasagna, and I'm gaining weight again, motherfucker. Yes, Doctor says Saint Lucifer Cagliari. Yes, yeah. I have to look that up a little bit more. I've heard some of that. I'll have to look some of that up. I admit certain things I don't know much about. I am proud of the fact that I don't know everything. That means I get more fun shit to learn. I think that's one of the things that people will be like, oh, Thorne's such a know-it-all and he's so arrogant and shit. I am the first to tell you if I don't know something. Like that, trust me, I don't like to act like a know-it-all because I don't know everything. If I know something, I am fire when it comes to telling you about it. But when I don't know, I have no fucking clue. Zach M says, good stuff. Yeah, Jay Balde, I agree with you. I don't call Lucifer Satan. I never did. You know, the thing is, you have to remember I have a huge problem with with theism, especially superstitious theism. As a non-dualist, I understand that everything is a mask for the same divinity, the same Brahman. I am, you are, the television is, my cat is, Lucifer is, Zeus is. Those beings are egos. They're beings like us. They do exist as self-aware beings. And somewhere in the multiverse, they have physical form and all the rest. Everything that you would imagine, okay, in the multiversal context is real. But the problem is the multiverse itself is a mental projection. Reality is not this. This is a projection. This is a simulacrum. It's an interface. It's like a holographic virtual reality interface that your mind is generating based upon the mind's relationship with consciousness. The mind is a form of consciousness. This is where it gets into heavy non-dual land, okay? But the mind creates this illusion to represent the essence of the divine. So it gets hard to wrap your head around, because on the one hand, it's going to sound to people like I'm saying these beings don't exist. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they exist in the same way you exist, or they don't exist in the same way you don't exist. Let me put it to you using a classical non-dual metaphor. Think of a jar or a cup made out of clay. In the example of a jar, or take this, like this little teacup, it's made out of ceramic, right? So that cup is made of clay. That means the clay is more fundamental than the cup, because the cup is a form that the clay is taking. You with me so far? So that means there is no cup. There's just clay in the shape of a cup. The cup is an idea. It's a subtle thing. Now we can have a discussion about whether cupness, that ideal form, is a real thing or not in a separate conversation. For now, just accept that the reality is this is not a cup. This is clay in the shape of a cup. You got me? Okay. This is consciousness in the form of a body. This is consciousness in the form of a world. Everything is consciousness taking the form that you see. When you can wrap your head around that, and here's a secret, the best way to do that is to not try. The best way to do that initially is to actually netty your way out of this. That is to cut out, to withdraw, to look inward, to negate all of these things that are not real. It would be like smashing the cup and making it clay again. So the best way to achieve that realization at first is to withdraw and get rid of these illusions somehow. Meditation is really what we're talking about, but this doesn't have, meditation is not the only way. You can use ritual dancing, you can use psychedelics, gnosis. There's a million methods. Meditation is the safest, most common. It's also the slowest for most people. Most people struggle with it. Like gnosis is instant, like that. Most people who do the right thing with that's usually, it's a shortcut. The problem with it though is you might be exposed to the truth, but not know how to deal with it. You might not, you need to be properly initiated before the gnosis can really help you. Otherwise it's just a wild trip and you don't get it, right? Someone who was at a party, never heard anything about non-duality before and was given a heroic dose of DMT or something, and had full ego death and hit like a state where they realized that this is all just consciousness, or they don't know what to do with that. And when they come back, they think they were just tripping balls. They don't know what to make of it. But if you're properly initiated, you spend enough time really learning this, studying the philosophy, meditating, all this crap, and then you do it, even just cannabis, guys, I'm telling you from experience, even just that, using that as a way to buff your meditative ability, you go deep as fuck, and you don't need the psychedelics. You don't even need them. If you're at least a moderately capable meditator, like you don't even have to be a master. Just moderately. Can you quiet your mind? Can you enter a state of trance? Okay, now do it while you're using a little bit of the magic leaf and see what happens. So that's what is, sort of lost my train of thought, but that is the understanding here. I'm getting back to, okay. The understanding is that these deities, these beings, just like you being a form of consciousness, just like D.H. Thorne is a form consciousness is taking, those entities are a form of, so consciousness is the fundamental, the divine, that's God in most religions. The soul is consciousness, and that soul is a universal consciousness, that's God, what the ancients would have called God. I don't like using the word God except for the impact that it has. But I don't like using the word God because that invokes a personal deity in the mind of most people. They picture some guy in the clouds wearing a toga or some shit. No, I'm talking about the way more spiritual, esoteric, impersonal God, the divine itself, the more like the pantheistic sense of God, but that's consciousness. It's not that the universe is God, it is that the universe is an appearance of God, and that God is consciousness, or what we identify as consciousness, because it's not just consciousness. If I said that the divine is just consciousness, that betrays, you cannot comprehend this thing that I'm talking about. But consciousness is the most comprehensible nature of that thing. This is why sometimes it is good to use the word Brahman, because Brahman means less to us than it does someone from India. And in India, it just means absolute. So when you say Brahman is Atman, you're saying the self is, the ultimate self is the absolute, meaning absolute existence. The self and existence are the same thing. The self and everything is one, shall we say. But they're talking about Sat Chit Ananda, or Ananda. Chit is consciousness. Sat means existence, and Ananda means bliss, peace, or fulfillment. It's a little fuzzier word. So what they're saying is Brahman is Sat Chit Ananda, means Brahman exists, it's consciousness, and it's bliss. Those are the three natures that we can comprehend, but it's not just that. But that's the three most fundamental things we can say about it that's universally true. It's not true in the assertive or affirmative sense. It's true in the, it's not just that. But when you think of Brahman, or when you think of consciousness, you're thinking of Brahman. When you think of any paradoxical or fundamental idea, something you can't reduce, you're either thinking about Brahman or you're getting close. You know, something like will. What does will even mean? Like there are certain words that we intuitively know them, but we couldn't, if we really had to sit down and define them with precision, like consciousness, define consciousness with precision. You can't do it. You can say consciousness is awareness. Well, that's a circular statement you just made. Consciousness is perception. Circular statement. You're just saying consciousness over and over again. What does consciousness mean? We all know intuitively what we mean by it, but we cannot define consciousness. Nobody can. Not in a way like we can define other things. You can define the number 2. Of course, you have to define it in relationship to the number 1 and the number 3, but you can define the number 2. Consciousness is a lot harder, to the point of being impossible. Because we all intuitively understand what consciousness is, but we can't wrap our heads around what it is. That's how you know consciousness is divinity. It's fundamental. When science says consciousness arises in the brain or the brain, they're full of shit. That's one of the most ridiculous statements ever. They know it's ridiculous. Well, they should know. They're scientists. They should know they're being dogmatic when they insist that consciousness is generated by the brain, or that the brain is what's conscious or some shit. That has never had even the most basic evidence or proof to that fact ever. If you want to really piss a scientific, materialistic type of person off, demand that they recognize that science, neuroscience, cognitive science, for the most part, they're highly dogmatic, because they insist that the brain is somehow responsible for consciousness, because they're dogmatically attached to materialism and they will not let it go. In their worldview, consciousness cannot be fundamental, because that's spooky woo magic shit to them. They will never accept it so long as the ideology of established science is the way it is. Establishmentarianism science is fundamentally materialistic. They cannot, and even entertain. I've watched people like Professor Donald Hoffman, I have huge respect for him, confronting other science, because he's a scientist, he's a well-respected cognitive neuroscientist, very well-respected. He'll go in front of people and they will bite their tongue like they want to mock him for what he says. And yet he beats them every time. They cannot, his arguments are withering. They cannot withstand his arguments. They can't, because for generations, they have, hundreds of years, they have been insisting that the brain generates consciousness with no evidence whatsoever at all. There's correlation between the brain and what we experience in consciousness, yes. But then you have people like Bernardo Kastrup, who steps up to the plate and says, the brain and its activities is just what the mind looks like from the outside. And you're like, oh shit, maybe that's exactly right. The brain doesn't generate your thoughts. Your brain doesn't cause your mind. because your brain is an idea that your mind came up with. It's wild as fuck, and look it up. So what is any God to a non-dualist? What is any God or any person or any spirit or any angel or any ghost, any tree, any rock, any star? All of them are forms that the divine is taking. They're forms that consciousness is taking. Consciousness is God. Consciousness is Lucifer. Consciousness is Yahweh. Consciousness is all of these beings, including you. And you are consciousness, period. You're not this. This is just what you look like to yourself from this perspective. It's just a bunch of clay. Open your Bibles. Man was made of dust. They say the same thing. It's almost the same metaphor. So there is no Lucifer in heaven. There's no... You can tell whatever story you want because in the multiverse it's true. You can have... You know, I see Spark, and I got a thunderstorm. I may lose internet if I cut out. You know what happened. Sparky says, I think Lucifer left heaven, in my opinion. Sure. In the multiverse, there's an edition of Lucifer that left heaven by his own volition. Then there's a version that got kicked out. Then there's a version that is Satan. Then there's a version that's the good guy and Yahweh's the bad guy. And then there's an infinite number of dimensions in between that are similar but not the same. That's the thing. In the concept of a multiverse, which is what Brahman would seem like, if you were to manifest Brahman all at once to yourself somehow, the closest approximation you would get would look like a multiverse. And all of its consciousness, an infinite multiverse in which everything and anything exists. You want to imagine a dimension, a universe that's just a paint can with white paint in it? That's the whole universe? That exists. It's possible. So, you can have, like people, you know, do not argue over the mythology as if your mythology is right and somebody else is wrong. When people are saying Lucifer and Satan are separate, like Jack is saying, yes, that's my interpretation of the myth, but there is no absolute myth. There is no myth that's more true. It's just the one that you resonate with. And for a lot of people, that's a bridge too far because they're wrapped up in a dualistic, materialistic worldview or a superstitious, theistic one. Either way, you're wrapped up in a delusion, I'm telling you. I'm 47 years old. I've practiced spirituality, atheism, all of this stuff in different shades, colors, and styles. This is the only one that is both rational and effective. It's the only one that is both. You can believe whatever you want. I don't care about your beliefs. Beliefs are bullshit. Beliefs are just ideas that you cling to. They could be true, but you don't know that they're true. A belief and true knowledge are two different things. They're distinct. So you can say, I believe whatever you want. Belief and truth are not the same. You can believe in the truth, or you can believe in a lie, but you can only know the truth. Does that make sense? You can't know a lie. You can't know something that's not true. That's a belief. Truth can only be known or not known. So I'm interested in the truth. I'm not interested in belief. I'm not interested in what you think. I don't mean that in a personal way. I mean, just I'm not interested in what I believe or think. You know, that's not what I base things on. I start with what I know, which isn't a whole lot. I only know like 3 or 4 things. No, I mean that. If you list out everything that you know, you're only talking about like 3 or 4 things, if you're being honest. I don't mean believe. You've got to learn, all of you guys. See, this is the thing. Most people living today are dumbed down people that schools never taught you how to think properly. They never taught you to have critical thinking. They never taught you to be rational. They taught you to memorize and believe. They didn't teach you how to know. They didn't teach you how to reason. They taught you how to believe like good, faithful little slaves, like good little sheep. Just like the Christians did to the children at Sunday school. They don't want you to question. They don't want you to think. They want you to memorize. They want you to learn skills that make you a better serf. That's it. So this is why I'm kind of harsh on theists, on superstitious people, on dogmatists. That includes many scientists. That's why I'm harsh on these people. I'm just as harsh on myself. You guys don't see that part. I'm just as harsh on myself. When I catch myself preaching a belief, I don't like that. I like to talk about what I know or what I can extrapolate from what I know. So if what I'm talking about is based on an assumption, I tell you. Whenever I don't know for sure, but I just think it's probably this, I tell you that. I make sure you know, take it with a grain of salt. But one thing I know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that all of these entities are forms that the divine takes, like a cup is made of clay. That is not something I believe, that is something I know, because I know it is true for me and everything that I experience, thanks to certain states that you can attain. That really, you're not attaining the state, you're letting go of the delusion. Like, you don't attain non-duality, you realize it by letting go of all the shit that was making it so you didn't see it. It's like taking a blindfold off. Like, oh shit, it's like leaving Plato's cave. You can't go back. So think of it this way. Everybody who believes in these deities as literal beings, you guys are still down in Plato's caves looking at shadows on the wall, thinking those shadows are real. They're real shadows. Yes. There is a real source for them. There's a real essence behind them. There is something projecting them. So there is something there that is Lucifer, but there is no one Lucifer. There is no living being that is exclusively Lucifer. There is no one true myth. All myths are false. But they all point to the truth. All good myths point to the truth through mythology. But the truth that they're pointing at, the reason they're using myth is because you can't say it directly the same way. It's sort of like the way a picture, says 1,000 words. In a similar way, myth can say a lot more than the prose itself says. A good story can tell you way more than just what the words say. There's subtext. There's symbolism. Why do you think all the deities have all this symbolic shit going on? Why do you think, this spirit holds this in his left hand and he's wearing this and he's got a head of a this and a that? It's all symbolic, guys. It's not literal. It's never been. It's never been literal. They'll appear to you that way if you want them to, if you let them. But that's not what they are. You guys really think Baal is like a spider-bodied, frog-headed, come on. Come on. You really think, I don't know. Give me another funny one. What's the one that's a whale? What's the one, Boone? You think Boone or Bune? Do you think Boone really looks like a cartwheeling demon? Come on. These are all symbols. They're all symbolic. And the hard thing is, some of these symbols, we don't know what they mean anymore. They no longer have relevance to us. You'd be better off like updating them with modern urban myth symbolism, like maybe instead of, maybe instead of, I'm trying to think of one specifically that I could go, instead of a sword, instead of a demon holding a sword, give it a Glock, or something, you know what I mean? So, you can update it with modern imagery. But that's why these things work that way. That's why no two people have the exact same experience usually. No two people usually have the same experience of a spirit, even if they're in the same room at the same time. You get two people, if you do this like the way you'd interrogate a prisoner, if you had two people commune with the same spirit at the same time, same ritual, same everything, and then took them into separate rooms before they could confer and debrief them, with like a lie detector and the whole nine, so that they're being completely honest, there would be discrepancies. And more than likely, they'd both have two completely different experiences. But that doesn't mean they weren't communing with the same essence, the same archetype, the same being. It just means that they saw their own version of it. Well, that includes the mythology that goes with it. So long as the essence is the same, then you'll be okay. If you have two people in the same room and one speaks to Lucifer and it's this evil satanic motherfucker, and another person's hanging out with Lucifer and they're getting the Promethean version of Lucifer, they're both right. They're both right. One guy says Lucifer is Satan. To that person, that is the mask that they encountered. But what I would argue, though, is that since they got the evil Satan version, they're not talking about the Promethean Lucifer. That's a different archetype. It's two different archetypes, but can appear the same way. See, this is what I mean. This is why it's not simple. This is why you can't be theistic about it. You're going to get it wrong. You're going to get tribal and weird about it. I've had people go, well, you saw Lucifer with golden yellow eyes. Well, his eyes are actually supposed to be, not violet. Come on, brain. Not cobalt blue. Indigo. Yeah. He's supposed to have indigo eyes. And since you didn't see that, you didn't speak to the real Lucifer. All right, whatever. This is insanity. That's tribalism. That's nonsense. Don't fall into that trap. Just don't. You're just chasing a theistic fever dream at that point. And you're just driving yourself off a crazy cliff. I'm telling you, because I've done it. For years, I've thought that way when I was younger. For years, I had the same attitude. Oh, that's not the real spirit because you didn't get that sign. Poof. It's exhausting. It's stupid. It's tribal. It's destructive. You end up being more delusional. And guess what? You get a fucking huge fucking swelled head like you're the only one who speaks to the right spirit. Oh boy. Am I wrong? Go look around Facebook or any other part of the internet where people are talking about spirits. Tell me there isn't a whole bunch of idiotic motherfuckers trying to assert themselves over others based on stupid shit like that. Tell me you don't get some asshole saying, oh, I am the actual only one that speaks to Lucifer because I got this vision or whatever. Guys, it's just egoism. It's just bullshit. Don't fall for it, please. If you like my channel, you like what I have to say, please listen to what I'm saying and really test what I'm saying. Really, really challenge yourself. If you're a theistic person and you really believe that these beings have literal theistic, superstitious mythology that there is. So in other words, are you like a creationist? Do we not mock creationists for taking the book of Genesis literally? So do not take the mythologies literally, ever. Take them symbolically, take them metaphorically, allegorically. All of that is fine. Do not take them literally. Please don't do that. And there are times you can tell the difference between when you're supposed to take it literally and when you're not. Like the Bible, there's things you're supposed to take more literally, and even those things, there's usually a lot of symbolism involved. Okay, I'm not a Bible expert. I don't want to be. That's not my bag. I'm not into that shit. But there's so much symbolism at play. You can't just take it literally. Especially the book of fucking Genesis. That's the Sumerian legends updated from the Jewish, updated to the Christian. So much is lost in translation over time. So much. So don't take it literally, guys, ever. Ever. If you're taking it literally, you're not only doing it wrong, you're aiming yourself to go off a cliff. Oop, I got some supers here from Patchy. I'll have to get to those in a minute. Damn, Patchy's been like throwing money at me today. Thank you, Patchy. I'll check this stuff in a minute. Let me work my way down. Yeah, Jack Lindsay said something that I agree with, if I'm reading him right. He says, so we all agree Lucifer is a supreme knowledge bringer. And I wouldn't say we all agree. Probably everybody here would agree with that. The Lucifer that we deal with is Prometheus, basically. It's the Christian version of Prometheus. And in that context, you're absolutely right. Supreme knowledge bringer. The thing you got to watch out for, though, is different people will encounter that Lucifer different ways. The version of Lucifer that I work with is more like Crom or something from Conan, because he's not here to give you shit. It's not, you don't pray to Lucifer like, give me a car or something. And you don't say, just teach me shit. Lucifer doesn't teach you shit the easy way. Sometimes he does, but it's more like sink or swim, motherfucker. Like here's your lesson, grow, God, you're God. Wake up, God. Stop being immortal. Stop being basic. Stop being so childish. Right? That doesn't mean that he's nasty or something. It just means that it's not an easy ride. It's a hard road. Because the goal is to wake you the hell up. And sometimes that means it's got to hurt. Sometimes it's got to hurt a lot. Patchwork says, hey, brother, for $2. Thank you, Patchy. And we'll work our way down. I know he's got some questions. Yeah, I'm burping up that Italian food, Raquel Kelly. Pizza and lasagna. Yep, that's right, Solora. The problem is I don't eat that stuff much, and it's a lot of carbs, so now my guts are just... bleh. You know, it's funny, like Jack's talking about his Masonic stuff. I'm like surrounded by Masons. Jack, are you guys trying to like draw me into your club or something? I know you're not supposed to invite me. I know that I'm supposed to ask. It's so funny because throughout my life, I've never had any Mason friends. But since I became this, it started with like one or two, and now it's like I can't like make a new friend without seeing a fucking, you know, Masonic ring or whatever. It's like it went from like one or two to like 30. I don't know. Every Mason I've ever met has been really fucking cool. So, you know, honestly, like you guys don't need advertising. You guys are generally really cool. So. Superstition is dead man's baggage, Patchwork says. Yes, very, very good statement. I cannot stand superstition. Superstition is absolutely fine. For I guess I would say it's fine as like part of your palette, if you will, for your mythology. So it's fine to use superstition for that purpose. But if you take superstition literally and believe in it literally, yeah, no, nope, 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 nope. Sparky66 asks, DH, have you ever read the Diabolicon? Nope. Nope. I don't read much, actually. Kelly says, the DMT helicopter chopper, it's probably flying nationwide. It needs to. Spray that shit. We all need it. Everybody needs a radical fucking confrontation with the soul very soon. Our world's like... I'm glad that I discovered non-duality long before all of this. It's making it so much easier to deal with. If I was just another average person who hadn't realized the truth with a capital T at this point, I'd probably be going fucking crazy. Like, I mean, I am going crazy, but I'd be going way crazier. I would be, oh, this fucking sucks. This is now, no, now it's just like, this is a cool show. Okay. I get, what's my role in this? Okay, my role is to be a little bit of a spiritual guide, teacher, thinker, shit kicker. Okay, yeah, I could do that. Solar S says, I hit the magic leaf to watch your stream. Hell yeah, fuck yeah. Don't overdo it. Do it with a spiritual intention, guys. I'm telling you. Any of these substances done with a spiritual intention, in moderation, it's usually great. I'm not saying any substance, but I mean the common stuff. You know, a little cannabis, a little bit of magic mushroom or something. Take that stuff with a medicinal, spiritual mindset. One thing I've got to start doing is start like blessing, if we will, like blessing what I'm about to do, or saying a little devotional, or at least consecrating it with an intention. You know what I mean? So like, it doesn't have to be like, oh God, bless this shit. It could literally just be, you're holding it, you know, let me make it funny. You're holding a nice fat spliff. I am going to be using this to, you know, to reach Toria. I will spark this J to reach Toria tonight. And I'm gonna do the whole J, and I'm gonna meditate my way into complete samadhi and Toria, and it's gonna be awesome. Alpha Draconian's here. What's up, Alpha? And Alexander C. What's up, Alexander C? By the way, if I missed anybody who showed up, forgive me if I didn't read your name out. Let's see. Patrick says, I got a book recommendation for this sort of topic. If you can find it, it's kind of rare. Anatomy of the Star Goddess, Iona Miller. Never heard of that. Thank you for the tip, Patchy. Appreciate it. Twisted brought up the aliens thing. I don't know if you guys saw my Facebook post. I kind of do want to talk about the alien stuff in a minute. But Patchy says, if you can imagine it, it exists. At least in that sense, yes. Yes. It exists in the sense that it is a way that the divine can manifest. It is if you can imagine it, it is a way that consciousness can appear. There is no question about that. Just the mere fact that you're imagining it proves it. Okay, and if you can imagine it, that means it's possible to fully manifest it as your reality. You just don't. And you have to ask yourself why. That's part of the fun. That's actually a lot to do with the book I'm writing. Yeah, Alexander C is right. You got to take this the time period into account with the symbolism. You cannot just take those symbols and think they mean the same thing. Words don't mean the same thing today that they meant back then. I don't just mean because the English was different. I mean, the same words can have totally different meanings 100 years apart. I'm not even stretching anything by saying that. Like, there are words that completely change what they mean. Completely, like a 180, took a 180 from what they meant 100 years ago. I'm telling you, look it up. There's a lot of words that change. So symbols can change too. Think of it like this. Think of the way two different cultures can view a snake. If you go to, you know, I don't want to be specific because I don't know exactly, but if you go to like India, China, some places, the snake is a holy animal, or at the very least, it's a noble creature. But you go into the West, the snake is bad. You go to the Middle East, the snake is usually bad. Not always, but usually. So the relationship to these things is different. So the symbol would mean something different. If you've got snakes in a Christian context, that's bad guy stuff. If you've got snakes in a more Eastern context, it could be bad, but it probably has something to do with rejuvenation, eternal life, subtle energy, Shakti, something like that. It has something to do, it's something else. If you go into even like certain animistic cultures, the serpent was a symbol for the life energy, was a symbol for the animus of things, because there's a little known thing that certain snakes would they'd go into termite mounds, okay, and they'd live in there because they would eat rodents and things that would go in there to eat the termites and shit. So they'd live in these mounds, and it was not obvious how they got in or out because they'd spend their whole life pretty much in there. And then they would leave. And so similar to like the spirit, to your energy, to your life, they would enter something and leave. And in a very similar sense. So that's why the serpent is often equated to life force or energy, just so you know. That's one reason, just one. The gods and demons like pew-pew machines. I mean, they definitely like it when I use them to empower bullets and stuff. So. What's up, Twilight Son of Lilith? What's up? Twilight Son of Lilith is very on that Gnostic kick, so he and I have similar views. Although I think we differ in some ways. We've got some very similar views. He says, my Lucifer is realer than yours, fam. Oh my gosh, man. Some of that shit's crazy. Oh, I just had an auto scroll, so I got to catch up. Jay Baldale brought up, that's what churches do, which I'm sure he was talking in reference to what I was saying before about knowing deities a certain way. Absolutely. Yep. Speaking, Alexander brought up, says, bro, I can't take these spiritual arguments online. I don't even bother. Guys, I'm getting to the point where, like, is it just me? Or are people reaching a point of such ridiculousness? I saw somebody today, they were talking about that ridiculous song. What is it? I don't like country music, and I don't really give a shit. Something about something small town, do that in a small town or some shit. I'm familiar with it. I think I read the lyrics to it like a week ago when the big thing started about it. I saw somebody had a post on Facebook where they had posted an article that was like 1,400 words. It was a huge essay a huge article analyzing the song, social commentary on it, why it's wrong, why it's dumb, why it's a bunch of white racists, and I'm like, it's a fucking song, dude. It's a shitty country song. Why are you analyzing this? And like, why are you analyzing this like so pedantically and so politically and so, dude, it's a bad song. It's a shitty fucking song that a bunch of like people identify with because they got mad about the riots of 2020 and the corruption going on. And so they're trying to boost their morale with some dumb, stupid, shitty song. And so everyone's like overanalyzing this thing into the ground to the point of like obsession over it. It's like, did anybody analyze Ice Cube's "It Was a Good Day"? Like this? Did anybody analyze "Cop Killer" by Ice-T? Did anybody, who's gonna analyze Bohemian Rhapsody with a 1,400 word fucking diatribe about whatever? Guys, you're fucking nuts right now. You guys don't even realize how fucking crazy you are. Like, look, I'm one to talk. I take credit for my insanity. Y'all motherfuckers are insane and don't even know it. I'm literally watching people have lengthy arguments about why that song is some kind of this or that. Everybody wants to politicize and us and them everything right now, to the point where I'm just reaching a point where you all are fucking sucky, shitty idiots. Like, you got, like, it's getting to the point where I'd rather count the good ones because it would be easier to do. It used to be, I felt like you could count the bad ones because the bad ones felt like, now it's like everybody's insane and there's just like a handful of people that aren't. And even the sane ones are sounding insane because the world is just this whole revelation era that we're in, the outpouring of Aquarius, all of this shit is driving because they haven't done enough shadow work. They're not in tune with enough things and they don't know enough. So everybody is like an absolute moron being confronted. You're all a bunch of chimps looking at a fucking UFO just landed and you think it's a hostess pie or something. Like, you have no fucking clue what you're doing and what's being done to you. You just don't. And it drives me a little crazy in a different way because I know what's happening better than most, maybe not the best, maybe not better than everyone, but I have a pretty good idea of what's going on, and everybody's fucking stark raving ridiculous right now. You're gonna sit, I saw some other person, they were talking about the Barbie movie. Dude, that was like the most dumb piece. I didn't watch it. I have no interest in it. But people are like, I saw somebody asking like, what's the hullabaloo about the Barbie movie? And this one, I want to curse. I want to say this one dumb bitch posted this thing. It's a bunch of white fragile men that's mad at this movie because they're just misogynistic dicks and they don't like that a movie is. It's like, wow, man, imagine seeing the world like that way. Imagine looking at the world and saying, and just hating men and white people that much that your whole world view goes to, it's just white men that can't handle a movie about women empowerment. Like, oh man, just so it's moments like those that I'm like, maybe the New World Order is right. If people are this stupid and this easily sucked into this shit, maybe they don't deserve the utopia that awaits them if things were different. You know, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how, it's just, look, I know it sounds heartless. I don't think it's heartless. It's like the comedians used to say, like, you know, you want to end a lot of the problems in this world, just take the warning labels off of things and let nature take its course. Like, if stupidity hurt more, if society wasn't so keen on having safety nets for stupidity, having ways to make it so the people who, I don't know, I don't want to sound like a eugenicist or something, but you get what I'm saying. It's like we've taken nature out of things. Nature had a way of keeping stupid people down, and now we just uplift them and oh my God. the internet is getting ridiculous. I mean, I just had a guy the other day who bold-faced insulted me to my face on my Facebook wall. When I asked them if they meant to do it, they basically said yes. Then I confronted them and they got mad that I confronted. It's like, wow, guys, you know, I don't get it. I just don't get it. People, look, we all do dumb shit. So I'm not saying stupidity isn't something that we do or that I do. It's just, it's like a bunch of kindergartners or something at this point. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating to me in general. You know, and that's a new shadow I'm dealing with. I've gotten over some of the other crap and now I'm dealing with that. It's like I look at the average person bickering online about, you know, the small town song or the Barbie movie. I'm sitting there like, guys, they're literally fake releasing aliens right now. They're literally steering us off a cliff, and you dipshits are all worked up over a Barbie movie and a song about small towns. Like that's what's important to you fucking nincompoops right now. That's the big fucking deal. Is a stupid movie and a stupid song. They're literally driving our entire civilization off a cliff, and they're fake releasing the alien shit to distract you, and you're just, you guys, come on, please tell me you're not all this dumb. I don't think you guys are. I hope you guys aren't, but please don't tell me you're all this dumb, please. I know a lot of people are, but it's just, it's getting, I'm looking around like where's my people at? Where are you guys? Where are the ones who fucking get it? I'm not saying get it all. Nobody gets it all. Nobody has it all right. But you got to at least see through the bullshit, at least at this point. Please tell me you can. Please tell me most of you can, because it's getting ridiculous. It's getting, at some point, it's going to get where it's like there's going to be a big light up display in the sky that's the New World Order is trying to depopulate you, fuck you over. They're lying about everything. And you're going to have some dipshit looking at that going, yeah, but that song is about racist white people who want to beat people up and lynch black people. I just can't. This is why I want to get my little hermit cottage, my retreat in the woods, and just get like a dozen or so awesome people to join me. And we'll just fucking practice magic and meditate and lecture spirituality and just be alone, because let the world kill itself. And when the UFOs come to pick up the good ones or the bad ones, we'll just be in our little mountain home somewhere. I swear. Fuck these people. Fuck all these motherfuckers. I'm watching this like on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, people just getting carried away with what are such obvious distractions. And there's so much realer shit going on. Oh my God. What are you going to do? All right, let me go back to reading you guys' comments. Yeah, Twisted Jack says, I never asked the shadows for things. Walking with them is good enough for me. Did before. Exactly. You don't ask shadows. Shadows are you, okay? Or they're other people, but they're a part of your being, okay? Even when they're externalized, they're usually an externalized form of you or the people around you or a little bit of both. You don't ask them for things. You shine a light on them. You see them within yourself. You learn to integrate them. And you recognize that your shadow is a powerful thing, that if you can integrate it properly, yes, there's negatives, but if you can transmute those negatives, you can have all the positives to go with it. So for example, Ronzael is exquisitely manipulative and he's very powerful. That's where some of my charm comes from, by the way. So Ronzael is very much a manipulative charmer, very, strong will, very this and that. But that manipulation tends to be dark, or at least it can be very Machiavellian. So when I was younger, I used that to my advantage. I'd manipulate people to get what I want. Now I've learned to be symbiotic about things. I don't take advantage of people. Now I try to use that manipulation for not necessarily good. I'm not a goody two shoes, but I try to use it for more benevolent or compassionate things. And when I do need to use it for negative, it's right there. I don't have a hard time using it. So that's what happens when you integrate a shadow. You learn to get around the negative or to transmute the negative into a positive. You can do that with most things. Yes, there are some things you can't, like, let's say, one of the more unthinkable things that it's not comfortable to talk about. Let's say you're talking about the tall man and you've got certain perverse attractions to people that are not of the correct age. We'll put it like that. I can't imagine what positive there is in that. I don't know how you could turn that into a positive. But you probably could. I wouldn't even know where to begin, because that is my shadow is that I have a huge aversion to that, to the point where it's like, I just want to throw those people in wood chippers or something. So it's like, I don't look at that. They're rabid dogs to me. To me, they are not salvageable. So I don't know what the positive would be for that, because I wouldn't want to try to find it. So yeah, but that's actually a shadow too. Believe it or not, you may say that's a righteous shadow, but that is a shadow, because that means I have an aversion. That aversion is a form of shadow. It means that, and here I'm having a hard time even saying it, because I don't want to sit there and be like, we should have compassion for these people. No, I want to just rabid dog their ass. I want to throw them in a wood chipper, because to me, they're just vile. They don't belong around us, But my higher spiritual understanding is, well, everything is divine. You know what I mean? So, like I said, I don't even want to say something nice about them, because I would, if I did, I'd want to brush my tongue with bleach for saying something so disgusting. It's ugh. But whatever. You get my point. So there are certain shadows that there may be some positivity to them. Like, you can transmute it. And then you can probably transmute every shadow to a positive. I don't know how to do with all of them. I just don't. Another tough one is the little child shadow, because that fucker is just purely, sadistic curiosity. Like that's that evil little kid, that pulls the wings off of butterflies and shit. I don't know where the positive is in that, although I get a better inkling, because for me, that shadow is very active in me, because I have a very sadistic streak, but my sadism is targeted. So, like, remember how I said I want to throw them in wood chippers? So, like, I want to take those pedos and pull the wings off of them, if that makes sense. Like that, I've said it before and I'll say it again, nothing makes a more pleasant sound to me than the cries of a bully. Like, to me, I could go to sleep to it, So it's, it's like, oh, that's nice. Oh, yes. Oh, did that hurt? Oh, your toe came off. Like, I don't, I'm an evil fuck when it comes to those people. What's that? The drill to the kneecap. Yeah, the drill to the kneecap. Yeah. I imagine fun ways to do things to bad people. We'll put it like that. Like, I'd be a great demon. Like, you want to give me a good afterlife career, make me a demon in hell. I'm not saying there wouldn't be better ones, but if you put me in the right part of hell as a demon, oh yeah. Oh, I'm going to be good at it. There's definitely going to be at least part-time. I don't know if I want to do it full-time, but I'd do it part-time. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. But that's my little kid shadow. There is a little kid shadow in there that just, what does the back of a pedophile's eyeball look like? If I rip it out, what is it? Oh, look at, can you see it? There's some evil shit in my heart, and I'm not ashamed to say it, because I think everybody has that in them, And by the way, Susan Wojcicki, I'm not saying I would do those things, YouTube. I'm just saying those are my shadow. We all have these fantasies about what we would do to bad people, don't we? I think most people do. I do. All right, let me read your chats here, guys. Hey, I know that name. There's a guy there with EA Quetting. What is up, dude? I haven't heard from you in a while, bro. If you're still here, I miss you, dude. It is good to see you. I should have reached out again. It's been a hot minute. I hope you're doing good, man. DM me somewhere. It's been a little while. Oh, man. I hope you're doing good, brother. We'll see if you're still talking in the chat. Alexander says, even being thankful for the weed helps. I agree. Yeah. It's like, you know, it's like they say, like if you say a blessing or say grace over your food, even if it's not Christian grace, you know what I mean? Like in your own style, you're putting a positive vibe into it. It can't help but be better for you, you know? Have you ever noticed that when you cook food and you're in a good mood and there's love in it, it tastes better, especially when it's somebody else making it for you? Like when my wife cooks dinner and she's really happy and she's looking forward to us trying it and everything, and she's, dude, it always tastes better. But when you're in a bad mood, that shit comes out like shit. Whew. Here comes some more of that Italian food. Ooh, la, la. Man, I am way behind in the chat, guys. Give me a minute. Yeah, Twilight Sun of Lilith says the serpent is the oldest symbol of worship on Earth. Yep, one of them anyway. I think it might be the oldest. It's definitely one of the oldest. It has always symbolized the goddess, the earth, and Kundalini. Very, very much so. Many of those things going all the way back. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, fuck woke, alpha draconians, if shitty people, etc., who are woke, brainwashed people, yeah, they're equally, to me, there's two groups of people that are equally bad. The woke dipshits and the fundy Christian racist Nazi types. Like, to me, they're equally, like, please, can we just find a way, like I used to say to Fleshy, can we get the real commies and the real Nazis, the woke and the fundies, can we get them into a cage death match and have them both win, please? Can we just put them all into a big pit and just give them chainsaws and just let them go until there's nobody? You get one left. Okay, then they can give them $1 million and put them on a desert island somewhere. And, you know, God, these people suck. They all suck so bad. They really do. There's like, I don't want to think this way, but there's not much salvaging these. They're brain damaged at this point. They're brainwashed. When and if the truth starts to really come out, it's starting to, but I mean, when the lid gets blown off this fucker, if it ever does, if real disclosure really happens, which I think might happen on some level, like I'm thinking like 10-20% will definitely come out. If we get 30% of the truth, I don't think that's likely. But 10 or 20% is an insane amount of truth. That will revolutionize this planet if that much comes out. I'm not kidding. Like, I can't even tell you how big the change in the world will be if even 10 or 20% gets fully brought out over the next 10, 20, 30 years. That would be an astronomical shift. It might be too much, so maybe I'm overestimating it. Maybe it's only going to be like 5 or 10%. But that 5 or 10% involves New World Order, depopulation, probably aliens, the whole works. The whole fucking works. Probably Atlantis and shit. Like that's heading into 10, 15, 20%. If we get that much, if we get like even an inkling about Atlantis or pre younger Dryas civilization level stuff, dude, that's not even 100%. That's not even, but that's closer. Wait till you start getting into the whole, you know, possibility, because I don't know this, but it's the whole possibility that, you know, like watch channels like Robert Sepper or shit like that talking about like Nazi space programs and shit, where guys, there's so much crap out there that we don't know because it's been hidden. You know, World War II, the way it ended up, where did all the Nazis go? Argentina, you know, all of these countries, they went to South America. Most of the high ranking ones didn't get killed. Hitler probably didn't get killed. The Vril Society fucking recovered ancient, you know, equivalents of the Vedic flying machines. What do you call them? Whatever. The UFOs from the Hindu religion. All of that shit's probably on some level true. There's probably shit that we will never know. Stuff I've channeled that I don't talk about because it's like, it's woo, and it's like, I can't prove it. And it's like, I prefer to talk about stuff that I can prove or know, or if I speculate, I want to be very honest about my speculation. I don't want to be like, hey, this is what I know is true, if I don't know it. I do find it amazing when I channel stuff and I see other people talk about it. I do find that interesting, but I'm very cautious with that stuff. That's why I don't talk about it. I don't talk about my channelings much because I feel like that stuff's for me, you know. It's not for you. Patchwork says country music is just farm emo. Dude, I should pay you $2 for that comment. That's a good one. EA Quetting says, everyone can feel what's coming, and so everyone's getting real excited about it and trying to find their tribe. I think there's something to that. I think people are scared too. I think they're scared and they're trying to find their tribe because they feel alone. I know I do. I feel totally alone because I don't have people in my real life besides my wife. You know, there's nobody in my real personal life that I can relate to anymore, really. Not really. I can relate to you guys. I can relate to people when I go to Iron Garden. I can relate to, speaking of which, I'm going tomorrow. Anybody in the area, I'll be there. I'm not putting a presentation on or anything, but I will be there. So I can't relate to the average person anymore very easily. Not on a level that I want to. Like, when I talk to the average person, this is going to sound conceited as fuck, but I got to dumb everything down a lot. I don't mean that just because I'm smart or whatever. I mean, I feel like I'm talking to a kindergartner that I'm trying to have them understand 2 + 2 at this point. Or we're talking about things that I don't find that interesting anymore because they're normal shit. You know, people be like, oh, you know, I don't know. That new video game came out. Don't get me wrong. I still talk about video games. Ask EA Quetting. I'll still be like, hey, let's play a video game. Don't get me wrong. I still enjoy that stuff, but that has taken a back seat in my life. You know, whereas it used to be a focus of my life because I was bored all the time. So video games is what I would do. You know, the average things that people are interested in to me are a diversion. They're not what I'm interested in. There's something to do when I want to be diverted a little bit. And so I'm having a harder and harder time relating to the average person. I just am. The average person, you know, and the worst part is my whole social life is mostly virtual online now. I have very few personal friends anymore because it's just hard to meet people now. People want to do everything virtually. When you run into people in person, it's harder for me to find people that are into what I'm into. That's a problem when you become more and more spiritually aware. You just have a harder time relating to the average person because your interests change. This is why at some point people sometimes go into convents or hermitages or retreats or monasteries because they can't relate to the average person anymore. So they might as well go where other people think the way they do. You know, it is tempting at times, but I don't know where I'd go because I don't really fit any of them either. I'd have to make my own. But that's got its own problems. You know, I burn out. You know, I have ADHD. I burn out on things. I burn out on things that I love and I need a change, or I need someone else to administer it while I'm burnt out. Like I need someone to delegate to. So even if I wanted to set up a big retreat thing and, you know, make a profession out of it and live that life, I really would like to do that. I would need at least 1 or 2 other people with similar ideas, similar mentalities, similar Like, we don't have to have the same ideas, but we have to have resonant ideas and, you know, a similar vision. And we'd have to have similar intelligence, similar drive, and similar ambition. And, you know, again, I'm not saying this to be conceited. It's more of a, I'm fucked up. There's not a lot of people fucked up like me. There's not a lot of people with my specific ingredients of fuckery going on. So, and I don't know if I'd get along with someone just like me. I think I'd need somebody not like me. So finding someone that can administer or be deputized or to delegate to or to share, that's hard. It's hard to do, especially with what I would want to do. It would be really hard. Someone had said that the internet is basically the cliff off. You got a point, man. The internet's great for shadow work, man. Those algorithms show you your worst side. It really does. I'm glad Raquel's laughing. She's laughing a lot. We're all in a good mood. I'm talking shit about dumb people, but I'm doing it in a laughing way. I don't know why fucking Patchy said a fucking hostess pie, but yeah, I get it. Hey, Naderta, what's up? I see Naderta's here. Yeah, that's right, Twilight. Twilight says, I hope you saw my Facebook post. The CIA and FBI are going to tell us all about the truth about the aliens. No, they're not, motherfuckers. If they're bringing it up, that means they're lying. That doesn't mean they're not there. You know, they'll use the truth as a smokescreen to cover their lies. Trust me on that. EA quitting, you're completely right. Barbie and the others are just distraction. The wars are distractions. Well, I will say that the war in Ukraine is part distraction, but it's also my understanding. This is again, I don't know this. This is my belief. This is my what I've been convinced of. I am convinced that there is a so just like there's a globalist cabal of the New World Order, there is a counter coalition that consists of international, it's an international coalition. It consists of Russia, North Korea, Brazil, India, parts of China's government, believe it or not. I know it sounds unbelievable, but it's true. And the US military. Yes, I'm one of them. Okay. Now, Russia attacks Ukraine for the stated reasons, but also reasons that they're not talking about. The reasons that they attacked Ukraine is because Ukraine is one of the biggest money laundering meccas for the New World Order. You'll note that Soros had to lay off 40% of his staff recently. Why? Could that have anything to do with the loss of income from what's going on in Ukraine? I think so. The child trafficking, the drugs, the money laundering, that's only one layer. Why do you think the Bidens and all them, they're shoveling money into Ukraine almost to the tune of 900 billion so far? I believe that's what it's up to, close to, right? Because they're making up for the amount of money they can't launder. So they're sending weapons, they're sending all this aid, all this stuff. And most of that's being black marketed and turned around and used to pay and line the pockets of the operatives that are not getting paid anymore. The interests that are not getting paid. So that's another part of it. Well, guess what another one is? Now, this one I got to be careful because I'm on YouTube. There is allegedly, all of this is allegedly, allegedly there's a story going around, and I believe it myself, that Ukraine had a whole bunch of bioweapon labs. And that Ukraine may have even been the actual source of the almighty Kuf. The beer plague, as I like to call it. And that there was other stuff there, and that was one of the main objectives of Russia, was to go in there and clean that shit out. It's right on their doorstep, for fuck's sake. There's so much stuff we don't know. Stuff that, yes, I am speculating or I'm basing this on other people's conjectures. Yes, I don't know this stuff. I can't prove it to you, and I wouldn't try. This is just what my gut says. Trump, for example, you don't have to like him or love him or hate him. Trump is the front man, at least for the American portion of this. So Trump was, he might have even been a bad guy that got compromised. And the government said, the military said, look, you're one of them. We've got you balls deep in a 5-year-old on Epstein Island. We're going to make that all go away because you're the least dirty of the bunch. We're going to make that all go away. And you're going to be our front man. And you're going to be remembered in history as the man in America who pushed the New World Order out. And we're going to work with you. And we're going to do, or maybe he was genuinely a patriot the whole time. That's possible too. That's what he is. He's not some fucking billionaire that decided to be president. Anybody who sits there who buys that line that Trump is just some billionaire who decided to be president for reasons and lost billions, well, about $1 billion in the process, amongst other things, had his whole life wrecked, indicted 3 times. You think that he wants to be president because he wants to be president? Stop huffing gas, dude. If that's what you think, you're ridiculously stupid. You can say he's good or bad. I don't care. He's not just some rich guy who wants to be president because he wants to be president. No one would take what he's taking if that was what they were doing. He would have been gone. He never would have ran again in 24. He would have been out and he would have left it behind and said, this ain't for me. No. That motherfucker is the front man for a coalition. He's the American front man for a coalition that is trying to stop the New World Order, and all the dumb fucks that just can't see that. So long as they don't support a New World Order candidate, good, let them be stupid. You don't have to like him. You don't have to like him. Just like I don't have to like my shotgun very much, but if it goes bang when I need it to, cool. I don't have to like the big orange monkey wrench to throw it into the works of the New World Order. So I don't want to get into that too much, but this is getting to the point. It's not political anymore. It was political in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It was a little bit, it's getting existential now. Learn the difference between something that's political and something existential. Something existential is there's a war, there's a thing, a blah, 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 blah. It's not about you like their policies so much anymore. It's literally a, oh shit. They're trying to enslave us, depopulate us, silence us, all of that. So I either choose to fight that somehow, anyway, or I choose to be a slave to it. Well, I choose to fight it. Now, you can choose to fight it in different ways. You can choose to fight it as someone who's in MAGA and supports Trump. Hi, that's mostly me. I have some dissent from them too, of course. Just so you know. But that's, I figured that's the best option that I can do right off the go. Support them. I don't have to agree with them on everything. I just go, they're the biggest monkey wrench that I can throw into that machine. Cool. 2, speak my mind. Speak about the philosophy of Luciferianism, libertarianism, get you guys to go out and spread those ideas yourself. Because if you believe them, you're more likely to say them to others. It spreads, people get the point. Raise awareness. You can be on the left. You can totally hate Trump. You do not have to support Trump. Let me make this clear. I have friends that are hard left, but I respect them because they are anti-New World Order too. They're never going to support Trump or MAGA, but they're willing to coexist with that group of people if it means the New World Order gets taken out. And they're going to try to push their people in. They're gonna, you know, like people like Russell Brand. I respect people like Russell Brand. He doesn't like Trump. He wants an alternative. Okay, cool. I don't like that he gives DeSantis much play, but whatever. You know, I don't care. He's mostly, I like the way Russell Brand does it because he's attacking the right things. He's attacking BlackRock and Vanguard and Klaus Schwab and Trudeau and Biden and all. He's attacking all the right people. So you don't have to support Trump. We're attacking the same enemy. You come from the left, I'll come from the right. That's fine. We don't have to vote the same way. We don't all have to be in a cult that agrees the same. No, so long as we're all attacking the right thing, we'll win this within 5-10 years. That's why they're trying to divide us so much over Barbie and stupid songs and beer cans and bad Star Wars movies and everything else. That's why the aliens are suddenly real. And they've always been real on some level. But that's why. Wake the fuck. I'm sure you guys are awake. I guarantee you the average, on different levels, we're awake. In this chat, I guarantee you, if there's one that doesn't get what I'm saying, I'll be surprised. You might not all agree with everything I'm saying, but you all get what I'm saying. You all see close to what I'm saying. I guarantee it. 80% or better. So how the hell do we get everybody else to see it? Well, it's got to get bad. It's got to get bad. People go, well, Trump didn't work because if he was really for us, he wouldn't have lost the election. He wouldn't have done this. Well, wait a minute. I don't want to sound like hopium copium here, but if what I'm saying is true, and Trump is the face of a coalition that's fighting the world, he's got the military behind him and all this shit, what would have happened in 2020 or 2016 or 2017 or 2018, anytime after he won the election? What would have happened if he just suddenly took the military and just started cleaning house with the military and rounding up the Clintons and the Obamas and the this and the that and you know, attacking the media, arresting the media? Dude, that would have been Hitler level shit. Everything why do you think they were going so hard with the fascist stuff against him? Because they were expecting him to do that. Please wake up. This isn't hard. This is not rocket science, guys. This is, if you like magic, that means you must know psychology. You must have at least a dabbling of psychology. You must understand a little bit of propaganda. You must understand a little, maybe I just got that Ronzale energy and I just know how to manipulate so I can recognize manipulation. Why do you think they were calling him fascist so hard? Because they were expecting him to act like it. He didn't at all. They were expecting him to use the military and start doing shit. They were expecting him to do shit like that and he didn't do it. Why? Because if he had, what would have happened? You would have had even people like me, because I wasn't fully on board yet. I didn't know if I trusted him. You would have had people like me preparing to arm up. Why are we arresting the media? I'm not okay with that. Now I'm okay with it if it happened. But back then I would be like, well, I mean, they're corrupt, but what do you expect? It's the media. Well, now I realize the media is literally working for my enemy. They're traitors. Beyond, I don't mean to my country. They're traitors to fucking humanity. They're fucking throwing up a smoke screen over Sound of Freedom like it's a conspiracy theory. Dude, that's my enemy. That's your enemy. They're an enemy of humanity. They're a traitor to humanity. They don't get a pass for that. They're rabid dogs. You don't get a pass for being a rabid dog. You get mercy, but you don't get a pass. So, Why do you think shit's gotten so bad? Now, I know this is a tough sell because it doesn't sound like anyone would do this. But the way I see it, they probably had plan A, B, D, and C. They probably got a whole alphabet full of plans, a big giant book this big of their operation and different alternatives and shit. They either allowed these fuckers to cheat and do all this crap and get away with this much because they need the people of the world to see that Alex Jones, of all people, was mostly right. There's a New World Order cabal that's literally trying to enslave and depopulate. It's corrupt as fuck, and the world needs to see it so that we can do something about it. If you don't see it, you don't do anything about it because you think that people... Come on, guys. 5 years ago, I don't know about you guys, but 5 years ago, most people that a lot of people would have called me crazy 5 years ago. I probably would have called me, and I knew a lot back then. A lot of people listening to me now are going, yeah, he doesn't sound as crazy. He's starting to make more sense every day. Well, wait a little while, guys. Did I not tell you it's going to get more and more surreal as we get closer to the big reveal? We haven't even... the only thing I've been wrong on is timing so far. I got 2020 wrong because I thought he was going to win, and that was going to be when the gloves came off, and blah, 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 blah. I got that wrong. That's what fucked me up, because I was like, wait a minute. I guess I'm wrong. I thought we had this. Like, what? I didn't realize that I'm, like probably a lot of you guys, ahead of the curve. I know what's going on, but the average person doesn't. They need to be brought up to speed before we can do anything. That's at least part of the story, I think. Yeah, some of it is probably because of pushback and everything else, but no, I see the writing on the wall. I'm reading the room. This chapter is going to be done within 3 years. This chapter. That's not the end of the story. It's just the end of this chapter. This is a big chapter. This chapter will be let's not forget all the shit that's coming about in the next 2 or 3 years. You've got a huge solar eclipse literally cutting this country, America, in half next year. It's going to be going from neck to from crotch to neck. It's literally going from, like, I think it's southwest coast to the northeast, almost cutting the country on a diagonal in half. A total solar eclipse. If that's not symbolic as fuck, I don't know what is. Then you have Saturn in Aquarius, leaving Aquarius. You have Pluto return for the country. Guys, there's so many fucking things going on in the skies right now over the next couple of years that are all world-changing, nation-crushing changes. Big symbolic, astrological, big shit's going down. So just, my timing has never been good on my predictions, but my predictions pretty much always come true, like 80-90%. My timing's usually wrong, but the general course is usually right. I'm saying in the next 2 or 3 years, the tide's already turning. Most of you guys who pay attention to this stuff, you know the tide's turning. This is unprecedented, the stuff we're seeing. If you're paying attention, the stuff we're seeing is unprecedented. And it's not going to slow down. Yeah, Patchwork says TikTok and social media in general is the cliff off. Yep. Absolutely on some level. Raquel Kelly says she likes the wood chipper. Tell me I'm wrong. And that's me being merciful, because if it was up to me, we'd be doing like fucking brazen bulls and shit. We'd be doing some medieval shit. We wouldn't be doing wood chippers. We'd be doing some slow shit. But that's, you know. Man, I gotta start focusing on this chat, man. You guys are chatting away. I love to see people chatting down there. It's good, good, good. Talks amongst yourselves while I am ranting. That's a good idea. Christian Heinekinian is here. What's up, Christian Heinekinian? 90 minutes late, but he made it. Nerta says, so true, DH. Everyone loves my smoked food. Are you making fun of your food? Am I reading that right? Are you Nerta, are you making fun of your cooking? Do you burn your food? Twisted Jack says, I love to cook for others because it tastes like trash for myself. I agree. Food always tastes better when other people make it, with few exceptions. Butter chicken's the bomb, Twilight. I got to actually get a good recipe for that, but I got to find a keto recipe for it. Butter chicken, butter shrimp, butter macaroni and dick. I don't care. Just make that's a joke. Vibe Wide. What's up, Vibe Wide? I don't recognize the name. It says, yeah, raise in vibration and ascend humanity to some degree. I think that's going, I think it will. I mean, we got to go off the cliff first, but I think we all got to try. We have to try. I made a joke in 2020. I said, you know, when you get a Luciferian motherfucker like me saying it's time we hug it out, that means things are going too far. I'm usually on the edgelord side of shit. If I'm saying it's time to hug it out, things are bad. Yeah, Vimanas, thank you, Twilight. So I that's what I was trying to remember the word for before. The Vedic flying machines, yeah, from the Rig Veda. Yeah, Alpha. I don't know if I'm going to do that campground meetup this year. After all, I've got a lot going on this fall. A lot of little things I got to do. My son's boat is getting christened, his ship. Some other things, or something. I don't know. They're doing something. Commissioning. Yeah, they're doing some kind of big ceremony. So I got to go see that. And but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means I got to really think about it. Because there's actually B&Bs we could do not far from where I live. Like, we don't necessarily have to go camping. We could actually rent a nice place with a pool, a place where we could all hang out, have a party for a weekend, you know. Basically do a retreat in a nice B&B, like out in the Hamptons. Like, look up the fucking Hamptons and you'll understand what I'm saying. So we could get a nice B&B somewhere here on Long Island, and just have everybody chip in. You know, it might be $500 for the weekend or something. No profit to me, just, you know, I'll help set it up and we all hang out and we do our thing. Oh, okay. Patchwork was correct. He says about the hostess pie. He said that was in reference to the chips and you. Oh, okay. Yeah, the chips. You have. Yeah, it's a hostess pie. It's a ho-ho. It's a. Yep. I forgot my own joke. Thank you, Patchy. And if you're new here tonight and you've never commented, please go ahead and say hi so you can get your name on the board. Xander's here. He says allegedly. Yeah, allegedly. I love that. Like, I think there's a channel I don't really watch anymore, but yeah, I love that word allegedly. I love just, I like to say the most heinous shit and then just say allegedly. I just love doing that. It's like you can say anything if you say allegedly in front of it or behind it. Christian says, Trump had a pretty base take on the Ukraine war recently. I mean, would you call that based or would you just call that common sense? I want to stop the killing. I'm a fucking pacifist. You know, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy war as a game, you know, or as entertainment, but actual war pisses me off. War is never about what they say it's about. You know, maybe if we're talking about, you know, villagers defending themselves, you know, like tribal war, you know, that makes a little bit more sense, right? But national war, man, it almost never makes sense. It's always because somebody's a dick. And, you know, defending your homeland is one thing, of course, but you know what I'm saying? I don't like war. I think war should end. There's always a better way. Just about, you know, just about. But also knowing what I know, or think I know anyway, let's be fair, I don't know this for sure, but believing what I believe, let's put it that way. Believing what I believe, yeah, no. I think it has to be this way right now. And I think it will end. The minute, I don't think, why do you think Trump can get up on a stage and say he'll have it over in 24 hours? Do you think it's just he's that good of a president? No. That's because he's deeply working with these different countries already. He still is. He probably just has to say the word and say, good, that's enough, and they stop. Trust me. You don't say I could end that in 24 hours if you don't, unless you're planning on being totally eviscerated by the world for lying about something like that. You don't say that. He's got a trick up his sleeve. And that trick is that he's in bed with, he knows. There's a coalition. But I agree. I mean, is that based or is that just common sense? Stop the war. I want the killing to stop. People hated Trump because they were told to hate him. Anybody who really listened didn't hate him. They might not like him. I totally get it if you don't like him. I totally get it if you don't want him. If you're on the left, like Christian's on the left, you won't like him because he's not on the left. So you're going to say, I want somebody else. You have every right to do that. Just do me a favor and don't support Biden. Don't support the New World Order candidates. Get discernment, learn who's who, and support the other alternatives. It doesn't have to be Trump. But I got to let you know something. Just some of you guys may or may not be ready to hear this. You got people like RFK. He's working with Trump. If you don't realize he's working with Trump, you're not paying attention. He's not just working with Trump. He was always going to pop out at this moment and challenge Biden. It was always going to be this way. Listen to him talk about Trump. He has to try to sound negative about Trump. And when he does, it's hilarious. He said, Trump is the greatest debater we've had since Lincoln. All right, I'm sorry, I don't agree. Trump is not a good debater. He's a gorilla. He's a fucking gorilla with a sledgehammer, and he just beats people down with his shit. He's not a good debater. I'm sorry, he's just not. But he compared him to Lincoln. You don't compare your enemy to what was historically one of the greatest debaters in this country, at least as a president. You mock him. You don't say and go, Trump is the greatest debater since Lincoln. Who would say? That'd be like me saying, I don't know, think of somebody that I don't, Biden is the greatest, I don't know, ice cream eater ever. You don't say something positive about your enemy unless you're just being polite. You don't sit there and build them up and say how great they are at something. You could say Biden can't handle Trump in a debate because he's freaking, demented. That's fine. But you don't sit there and say Trump is the greatest debater since Lincoln. It's so obvious. Please tell me you guys aren't this dumb and gullible. Please. Please. Because I'm not that highly informed. I'm not that genius, okay? Yeah, I got 140 IQ. I give myself credit for that all the time because I have low self-esteem and I like to admit that I'm smart, okay? But I'm not that smart. It's just that obvious. Inertia says, I knew back in 99 that Trump would be president. Yeah, I didn't trust him in 2016. I really didn't. I wanted Ron Paul or Rand Paul. I didn't trust him at all. He looked like a clown to me. But when he started talking about the internet and how the censorship is bad and everything and how he wants to change Section 230 and all that, I'm like, ooh, he wouldn't say that unless he wasn't, ooh, and I started listening. Because trust me, I'm a libertarian first, populist distant second or third. Populism's fine if it's reined in. Reined in populism is just fine. It's when it becomes fascist nationalism you got to watch out, and that doesn't have to happen. It doesn't have to. Historically, it didn't happen here. We had populism up until, I don't know, sometime after. Believe it or not, we had populism like through Kennedy. We had it under Reagan. That was populistic. Definitely in the 50s and the 40s and the 30s. And that was populistic. FDR, socialist, but populistic. That was populistic. So it just was. It was left-wing populism. I'm not saying he was a good guy. I have my doubts. You know, there's been a lot of corruption going all the way back, but if we're being honest, the policies were populistic. Totally populistic. Yeah, Xander says, been a Dem for years, but I don't know who the fuck Lib Dem party is anymore. I agree with you. I think I was a Democrat for like 10 minutes when I, in like 2004, when I was opposing Bush because I didn't like Bush anymore. And then I became totally apathetic about politics because I was like, who cares? It's fine. You know, I wanted an end to the war in the Middle East and I thought Bush was a shithead. I liked him at first because I was dumb. I was a dumb kid, you know, dumb little Republican kid. Sure. Bush is the best president for 9/11 because he'll actually do something. All the dumb shit, man, that I used to say. Stupid fucking shit. Stupid shit. Dumb as a fucking box of hammers, dude. Just dumb. And I got a little smarter around 2004, and I was like, I'm not voting for this dickhead again. And then when Obama won, I was like, oh, good. Maybe we'll finally heal from some of this. You know, I was happy. And then I found out some shit he was doing, and I found some other shit. And then by the time 2012 ran around, I was fully aware of the New World Order, and I was voting for Ron Paul. And then 2016 rolled around, and I was like, I don't like anybody. And then as we got close to the election, something happened and Trump clicked. I said, all right, I'm going to back him. I'm going to just going to accept them. Twilight Sun brings up a good point. Anyone who listens to the speeches of the World Economic Forum has no excuse for the stupidity. I'm going to paraphrase, as I know what he's trying to say, has no excuse for their stupidity. These were secrets 10 or 20 years ago, but nothing is hidden anymore, and they're laughing. They're laughing, but they're starting to get scared. That much is true. Is Klaus Schwab scared? Probably not, because he knows that Europe will be the last to fall when they lose, because they've got Europe on lock. They've got Canada mostly on lock, and they got Australia mostly on lock. If the United States pulls out of the tailspin, they're going to be scrambling to consolidate in the EU. They'll probably try to hold on to Canada. They'll use Canada as a way to wedge us. We're probably going to have to make some moves on Canada. I don't know what those moves will be. Trudeau's going to have to go, and all of those WF fuckers in Canada is going to have to go because they're right on our doorstep. We're not going to tolerate that. Once we start cleaning house, which I hope we do, I hope I'm not wrong, if they start cleaning house around here, you're going to start to see relations with former allies. They're going to become former allies. I'm telling you. A lot of people that we used to consider close allies, you're going to see a lot of cooling. You're going to start seeing a lot of changing of who the lamb is going to lay down with the lion. There's going to be a lot of that going on. Don't even be surprised if America makes some kind of deal with the BRICS nations. Don't be surprised. Because you'll note that the BRICS nations are absolutely anti-New World Order, with the exception of China. China's a weird one, because China, that's been a problem for me for a while, but a lot of people tell me China's not as simple as it looks. China's just as divided as we are. They've got their own division going on. There's a lot of conflict going on in the inner circles for power. And there's parts of China that want nothing to do with the New World Order at all. So, I don't know. There's things I don't know. But I do know this. The New World Order is showing out to be looking like smoke and mirrors and a paper tiger. They hold the positions, but they're not numerous. They don't have the actual power we do. We always did. The only reason they have any power is because they've brainwashed enough people to go along with them for so long that yanking them out of that is hard. And for a few years there, they got us all fighting against each other over stupid shit. How many people, like, I'll ask Christian if he's still here. How many fundamental things do we kind of agree on? You know, we don't like this, we don't like that, we don't like the way they do this or that, we want this kind of a world, we want you to be in peace, we want you. So we agree on many fundamental things, but they got us to fight over a couple of differences that are not actually big deal issues right now. They're not that. Like, we're all fighting over trans issues and beer cans and songs about country. We're fighting over the dumbest shit. Not all of us, but a lot of people are fighting over the dumbest shit. When if we would all just stop that and be like, who's making us fight? Oh, those people are. Well, fuck them. We'll settle this issue later when it's not artificial. It's artificial right now. We don't need to fight about fucking Bud Light cans and small town songs and bar. They're instigating. We're fighting because they're pushing us into a fight. Stop. Refuse to do that anymore, except for with people that won't give you any quarter and won't back down. Fight those people, sure. But stop going out of your way to argue about the dumb shit. Do you see me making arguments to people anymore about the dumb shit? No. You know what? They want to believe that the Barbie movie is just women's empowerment and that white males are just fragile and that's why they don't like it. If they want to believe that all trans people are groomers, that's their fucking problem. We'll fix that after. Yes, it's a problem, but we can fix that after. Right now, we've got to set aside these petty, dumbass fucking problems, including capitalism versus communism. Can I get a high five from fucking CM? We can have that fight later. Right now, we've got a fucking doomsday machine pointed at our planet, and we're fighting over the color of the drapes in the windows. Stop it. You're fucking stupid. Just stop. We'll have the commie versus cappy later. We'll have the tranny versus fundy later. We'll have all of that later. I know what my side will be on 90% of those issues. Thank you very much. And it's going to be on the most humane side I can be. The most libertarian side I can be. Those issues are important, but they're not that important. Like, I don't want to dismiss those issues because some of those issues are real. But they're not existential right now. We have literally a doomsday weapon pointed at our planet. If we do not stop them, if they pull the trigger, we're doomed. Now, how much can we do? Not much. We've got to identify those people that are attacking that doomsday weapon, whether they're left or right, and we've got to support them. I support Russell Brand. I support anybody who's attacking that. I'm not supporting people that are infighting. So you've got these, you know, you've got like hard right people that are attacking the right people, but they're also attacking like left-leaning people or whatever. Like, I'll look away from that, but I'm interested in the ones that are like being tolerant of people on that are next to them fighting that. So this is why you don't hear me talking a lot of shit about Russell Brand. I love him to death, even though I disagree with him fundamentally on a few things. But I'd rather the left be that guy because he's got the right general idea. Likewise, there's people on the right that are the same way. Like, I'm not a Christian. I'm not a fundy. But there's a limit to certain moral issues too. But that's not important right now. What's important right now is get that fucking doomsday weapon destroyed. Destroy that system that they built that's trying to enslave you right now and failing, I might add. It is failing. It's breaking down. It's not gonna make it. They're gonna get desperate very soon. Nuclear war, something's gonna happen. I'm just telling you. I don't know what. If you think it's surreal in 2020, 21, you ain't seen shit yet. You really haven't. It's going to get so much crazier soon. And if it doesn't, I will be shocked. That just means my timing is off, though, because it will get crazier. Just means my timing is off. All right, let me... Oop, you guys are chatting away. I'm missing your chats. Whoop, 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 whoop. CJ, what's up? Yeah, I don't know. Raquel says, DH, you mentioned EA quitting. Yeah, he was here. I don't know if he's still here. If he's still here, what's up, brother? We should come, you know, we should have a chat again. We should do a live stream again. Maiden of Liberty, what's up? Man, that's some lasagna coming up. I gotta stop eating for like a month. Just no food at all. CJ asked, DH, did you rant about the David Gorsh thing yet? No, not quite yet. I'm not sure if I'm gonna. I did put a post on Facebook about it if you didn't see it. I mean, that is obviously a psyop, like 100%. That doesn't mean there isn't a reality to it. It just means that just look at how the media is reporting on it. It's obviously a psyop. It's obviously a diversion. Aliens are probably completely real. They're probably been here for thousands and thousands of years. Some of the aliens are probably a breakaway human precursor civilization that we're some kind of offspring of, that we were made to be slaves and all that shit. Probably all true. There's probably truth to all the Anunnaki stuff on some level. It's probably all true. You know? I mean, let's be fair. It's probably all true. But they're not telling you the truth. And nothing they said is new. Nothing that guy said is new. Everything that he said is stuff we either knew or suspected already. And he used so much doublespeak that he said non-human biologics were found. That could be a dog. You know, he said that non-human biological material was found in wreckages. That doesn't have to mean alien. That could literally be, it was a test balloon with a dog in it. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of doublespeak going in there. This is what I mean. When people are falling for this shit, it's like, you don't need a PhD in propaganda to recognize the propaganda. You just have to be sensitive to liars. You just have to know how to read people, to pay attention to NLP, to the words people are using, to double speak and all that shit. I try to be concise. Well, I shouldn't say concise. I'm almost pedantic in how much I try to be precise in what I say. Some people have accused me of being semantical. No, I try to get the right words. This way I can't get them twisted. So when you're using a bunch of doublespeak on me, you know, plausible deniability words, you know? Christian Heinekanian says, DH Thorne true, but credit where credit is due. What are you talking about? Sometimes I need context because I don't read it when I say it. I don't know what's true. Yeah. Christian said, I like that. I want that as a tattoo. I'm an idiot, but not a fool. Maiden Liberty says, populism under Bush too? Nope. Nope. I agree. I wouldn't. That was even Bush 1. That was rhino shit. That wasn't real anything. Reagan 1 was populistic. Reagan 2, he was MK Ultra'd by then and back on script. That's why Bush Sr. only got 1 term, because he really got 2. One of them was while Reagan was president. Shockster. Presidents lost their authority when tricorns went out of fashion. Oh, Team Tricorn. Oh, man. I mean, if you look at American history, like, we had a rocky start, too. Like, even after we got, you know, even after the revolution and we were cleaning it, that, dude, we were teetering all over the place. Like, we almost blew up back then. We've had so many scandalous attempts to corrupt this country, and many of them worked. Like, people don't realize that a lot of them worked, and some of them were fixed later, and some of them, it's nuts, man. And CJ says, speaking of doomsday devices being aimed at us, Oppenheimer was good. I agree. It was good. It was a little slow. Like, I ended up like snooping on my phone for a little bit, a couple scenes, but no, I enjoyed it. The only problem I had was that my wife and I were literally in the front row, like that Elmo meme. So, and I was like, well, that won't be a problem because all these theaters now have these reclining chairs. It should be great. No, the front row doesn't recline. Like, are you kidding me? The back row doesn't have to recline. The front row has to recline. Like, what the fuck, dude? So we're sitting here, like, sitting bolt upright, and we have to, like, somehow get our heads to aim up so we can look straight up to see this fucking movie. But there's no place to put your head because it's got a headrest. So, like, we're sitting here literally like this, so we could look up enough to see the movie. Dude, I never want to sit in that front row ever again. And Urta talking about how they got all the gangs divided. Yep. They always did. That's always been a distraction too. The more the gangs fight, the more you feel like you need a police force and a military and all that shit. People talking about using YouTube. I'm actually tempted to get off YouTube at some point, but because YouTube's going down, they're not doing good. You notice I'm not using it as much. I know I've been shadow banned a lot on here, like throttled. I just don't feel like putting so much effort into it when the system itself is trying to fuck me. So it's tempting to do Rumble, but Rumble's so political and it's very right wing, it's very Christian, so putting up my kind of content on there, I just don't know. What I need to do is I need to rebrand soon anyway. Gar, what's up, brother? Gar gave us a nice Canadian 20 spot. Thank you, my friend. By the way, Gar is a good artist, if you guys don't know. I haven't seen his art in a little while. I know he posts in one of my groups from time to time with it. But Gar does really good art. Very interesting stuff. So thank you for that 20 spot, brother. Really appreciate it. I will put that to mostly good use. Yeah, that's true, CJ. CJ says they haven't told us about the aliens until now because they haven't had the need to use the distraction until now. They were always going to do it soon. I think that they got escalated a little bit. I don't think they were going to do that until like the 2030s, but I could be wrong. Everyone has been saying for years, not just recently, when they play the alien card, there's only two reasons they would do it. One, because they're very near completion of their plan, and they need to use the aliens as a way to get the world under one world government to whatever, deal with that problem. The only other reason they would use it is because they're about to lose the whole show, and they need the biggest distraction anyone's ever heard of to stop it. So that could be it. I don't think they're that close to getting their win. I think they're actually close to losing. CM talks about how he tried to fast for it. Yeah, I'm not totally serious. It's, you know what? I lost all that weight. And when you lose weight, your body says fuck you and tries to be a dick and gain it all back. So you can literally eat healthy as fuck and still gain weight. You have to go out of your way to keep the weight off until potentially forever, because your body just says, no, we made it to 330. We need to get back there again. And it will lower your fucking metabolism till you can eat nothing and like have one carrot and you just gain 30 pounds. It's like ridiculous. Your body's an asshole. So I don't know. I got my friend Adam. He quoted me like for, you know, a little bit of help, like how much he charges. So I'm going to sit down with him and go over everything and see what he can tell me what to do. Probably stuff I already know, but Gar makes a great point. At this point, there are so many psyops and counter agendas, it's unlikely that anyone knows exactly what's going on, including those who think they are running the game. I can tell you one thing for sure. You know, like there's a lot of people, even on my side, who want to say that Trump is running this and Trump's the one planning it. No, he's not. He's the front man. He's a puppet just like Biden. That's not to say he doesn't have ideas. That's not to say that he doesn't have preferences or you know, ideals that he tries to, but he's not in control of this. He's the front man. He's following a script too. I watch people that are like, Trump planned it this way. No, he didn't. Trump is just the figurehead. You can say Trump planned this and that, but yeah, no. So I agree with you completely. But I do think that this is already a done deal. I think that the New World Order is done. It's just we're going to have to wait for it to play out because they're not just going to bend over and say, go ahead, you win. They're going to consolidate in the EU. America's going to have to fucking go toe-to-toe with them, which probably won't be that hard, but the UN's... Watch, if Trump gets his spot back, officially, because I think unofficially he still is in control. Or, you know what I mean. Not him necessarily per se, but his side. If Trump comes back into power and starts cleaning house, I'm willing to bet. I mean, we'll have to see how it goes, but my current suspicion is you'll see the EU start moving to get its own military going. A real military, not a little defense force, a real military. You'll see them kick some shit into overdrive. They're going to start hardening themselves because the world is not going to forgive that New World Order shit. I'm just saying. A lot of the world's not going to forgive that. They're going to have a hard time. And they're going to be consolidating. They're going to be trying to get their plan to go from that. You might even get World War IV out of it. World War IV? We haven't had World War III. You're in World War III right now. Can you smell the coffee? Did you wake up? This is World War III. It's just not a shooting war yet. It may become one. It may not. But we're in World War III right now. And I'm telling you, it's just a fact. It's just a hidden fact, but it's a fact. Watch channels like Monkey Works and see how much military shit's flying around. That's unprecedented, all this extra shit flying around. There's so much shit going on. It's like, who the fuck are they fighting? There's ops going on everywhere. Oh, fuck. Did I hear about Elon potentially getting tried for ties with Russia, China? No, I didn't. Elon, I have a lot of 50-50 on him. There's times where I want to support him, and I do when he does things that help me. But I don't know if I trust him either. I heard something today. I forget it was David Icke. Somebody was talking about it. How Werner von Braun wrote a book. I don't remember the whole story, but the main character, the alien, was named Elon. Spelled exactly like Elon Musk. And Elon wants to be, it was the king of Mars or something, named Elon. And Elon Musk wants to basically go to Mars and take over. Okay. Something fishy's going on here. There is something to this. There has to be. It's a little too on the nose. I mean, shit, maybe fucking Elon is literally the Antichrist. I mean, I don't fucking know. You know? Sometimes I think it could be Trump. Oh, good night, Twisted Jack. Good to see you. Looks like you're leaving. Yeah, you're right, Nanurta. They're using gangs as an excuse to scare people into giving up their rights. Absolutely. And to lick those boots of the cops. Yep. Yep. That whole BLM thing, my only reason for like, I didn't say much about it because on the one hand, I know what they're saying. Cops are a police, they're a militarized, you know, force now. But that doesn't mean that everything they do is wrong, and it doesn't mean that I think all cops are bad, and it doesn't mean that there aren't times when they need to fucking drill somebody. Okay, you know, I'm not with those people who think that we need to be all soft on criminals. No, but my problem with the police isn't necessarily how they fight crime. It's the fact that the bureaucracy above them aims them at us over petty shit. You know, selling Lucy cigarettes, you get your neck broken. Like, what? So they've aimed those guys. They're basically revenue and fear tactics. It's all the worst shit now. And CJ's texting me. What are you texting me, CJ? What's CJ texting me? Let me see. Dude, that you sent me a picture of them. That's literally what I saw. I should send you like what we saw. Elon Musk Antichrist. This is what I don't know if you guys can see it. This is let me see. Yeah, this was him in like some kind of a demon costume. Elon. If I hold it back here, it's too bright. Look up Elon Musk Halloween costume. That's all you got to do. You'll see it. Did I just give away CM's number? I hope not. Or CJ's number? No? Good. Everybody call CJ if you saw his number. I don't think you could see it, but if you could, make sure you call him. The fuller beard is a great look, by the way. Thank you, Jockster. I'm working on it. I'm sort of trying to get like a longer chin thing going on again. I don't know. I may start it over again at some point. One thing that I probably have to do is just let the whole thing grow into a beard and then go to a barber and be like, this is what I want, and have him shape it for me and everything, because I can't quite get it right. I actually started using a beard straightener, like a comb thing, like a heated comb. I don't use it all the time, but I have curly facial hair. I'm a stealth ginger because my beard is red. It's turning a little bit lighter red. It's almost getting gray over the years, but not quite gray. I have a few gray hairs in it, but it was redder a few years ago. A few years ago, it was like almost like red beard. Patchwork with a 5 spot says, I feel like they're panicking badly. The propaganda and division wouldn't be necessary if the New World Order was close to winning. Correct. Unless they really needed that division to finish the job, but not where they're at right now. They're not close to finishing the job. They're still fucked. Ninurta says World War III started in 1970 and will end in 2030, 2030. Hey, you know. Twisted Jack's trying to make us yawn. Might actually work on me. I'm getting tired. Twilight Son of Lilith says Elion is another name for the demiurge. Interesting. I did not realize that. Good hit. Oh, Ninurta's almost in my neck of the woods. He's out in East New York. Somewhere out in Linden. I like that. CM says, oh, I didn't know about that book. I just thought Elon will become the spirit of the machine and the people that go to Mars with him will worship him and become the Adeptus Mechanics. Oh, fuck. I don't know. There's times when I really want to believe that he's a good guy, but there's no way you become that much of a billionaire without, I don't know, something. I have some doubts, is all I'm saying. It's really hard to get that far. Oh, fuck. Yeah, you know. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up. We're coming up on the 3-hour mark, and that means it's just about bedtime for me. But I'm going to give you guys 10 more minutes, give or take. So if you have any major questions, comments, concerns, aliens, current events, spirituality, magic, dead gorillas, whatever it is that you're into, let me know in a comment. And if it fills out the 10 minutes, that'd be great. Freaking mosquitoes in here. Christian says the God Emperor of humanity equals non-duality via state-mandated atheism. That sounds a little bit like the Illuminati's plan there, Christian Heinekinian. That's pretty much what what's his name said. Raquel Kelly says, DH and Camilla, thank you for your beautiful channels and this kick-ass forum. Have a great night. Infernal blessings to all. Thank you, Raquel. Blix asks, where will you go after you die? You don't go anywhere. You never go anywhere. There is no you that goes anywhere. There is consciousness. That's who and what you are. And consciousness doesn't go anywhere. Things, people, places, and things go in and around consciousness. You're not going to die. Consciousness is forever. Consciousness is timeless. You, consciousness, will not die. You will observe, you will witness the birth and death of this individualized illusion that you've localized within, but you will not suffer it. You will watch it. You will experience it. You will feel it. But you will not die. That much is certain. Christian says, you go? New to non-dualism. Who's this? Non-dualism's a badass, man. I actually, one of the things I like about being a non-dualist is when you are among people with a more traditional spiritual worldview. You know, like Blix is asking the question, you know, it's a good question, you know, like it's one of the questions that any spiritual tradition should be able to answer. And that answer should be satisfying. In the West, we are used to questions. When you're asked that question, it's like heaven, hell, something like that. Non-duality blows people's minds because you don't answer the question the way that they want. They want you to say something like heaven, hell, nowhere, you know. But non-duality doesn't say, non-duality transcends that question completely. And the beautiful thing is with non-duality, you can know it. It's not something you believe in. You can absolutely know it for a fact. It doesn't take any faith at all. When you experience ego death, whatever method you use to get there, and you can use chemicals, you can use meditation or both, you can dance till you drop. When you experience so-called ego death, you no longer have any doubt about who or what you are. You certainly don't think you're this person anymore. You may still be attached to them. You may still act like them. You may still be in love with it. But deep down, you know this is just a character that you're watching. You know what you are. And that thing that you are does not die. It was never born. It is all that exists, and it's all that ever has existed. It's all that ever will exist. And when I say that, I don't mean you as in the person. I mean you as in consciousness, the consciousness that we all are. But when that death experience happens, you may see other things. You may see another life. You may see heaven. You may see hell. You may see the multiverse. You know, watch the movie What Dreams May Come. That is a very strong possibility. In fact, I'm certain that that's one of the things that can happen is stuff like that. But it's not happening to you. You're not going anywhere. Consciousness simply manifests a different illusion. That's all. Patchy says, death is an illusion, nothing more than a change in perspective, like waking up from a dream. Hail Tiamat. Yes, that is a pretty good way to describe it. Yep. Ego death can feel very good. It can also be terrifying, especially on the way out. Every time I've had ego death, I shouldn't even say I've had, but you know, English is English. Every time that I've experienced ego death, I'm putting that in air quotes because that's not the right way to say it. Every time I've experienced ego death, it was a surprise. Like it happened and then I was like, wait, who am I? Like I had amnesia. I didn't know who I was. And I was like, I think I died. You know, wait, who's I? You know, and then, but the thing is, it wasn't thoughts like that. It was feelings. It was something. It wasn't sitting there like I wasn't sitting there like my mind was working like normal and I was having a conversation with myself. Who am I? Am I dead? No, it was just a realization that I had no idea who I was. I knew I was somebody else before, but I wasn't that person anymore. And I didn't feel like I was a person anymore. I just felt like I was a presence in my own whatever. It's weird because ego death, it's not easy to describe. Going into it is easy. Like, oh, I was afraid. I thought I took too much of the drug. I thought I did it this time. I'm dying. Is this what death is? And then you kind of resist it or you let go. If you resist it, it fucking hurts. That's everything I've read. It's never happened to me that way. If you resist it, that's when it's scary and hurts. If you lean into it, it just happens, quick, done, finished, completed, and you go off into whatever wild ass epiphany vision you're going to have. You may get nothing. You may hit Turia. You'll know it if you hit Turia. You don't hit Turia without ego death, just so you know. Turia is badass. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right, but I think I am. Turia is an experience. It's not an experience. It's a state of being that I cannot explain except to say when it started, it felt like I was a drop of water that had somehow left the ocean and then returned to it. Like I felt like a raindrop falling into an ocean and just being absorbed into that ocean and having no locality anymore. Like I'm everywhere and I'm nowhere at the same time. I'm just a presence and it's utterly peaceful and blissful. There's no time, no sense of place. Just total release of all tension of all sort. Just being. It's just pure being, blissful being. You're just, And there's no ego in that. There's no me. There's no I. It's like you're dead ass asleep, but you're awake. It's if that's what death is like if I'm wrong, non-duality is not real, but death is like that. It's scary to think about living that way forever, so to speak, but when you're in that state, you wouldn't mind if that was forever. Trust me. When that state is your reality, if someone appeared and said this is how it's going to be for all eternity, you wouldn't mind. You wouldn't care, because you don't have a person to complain. Like, there's no sense of self to complain. There's no identity sitting there going, oh, I wouldn't want to do that. I want to go back to my life. Your life is gone. Everything. You're just in deep blissful peace. So if someone said this is forever, now right now, if you said, Thorne, that's forever, I go, I kind of want to do more than that. But when it's happening, yeah, you don't. It's almost like, all right, it's not like this, but in a very tiny way, like 1%. It's like when you're daydreaming and you're totally chill with the daydream. Like you could stay that way forever. It's a little bit like that, except you're not dreaming about anything. You're literally just present. You're literally just God's loving yourself. I don't know how else to put it. There's no relatable correspondence. It's just, you know it when it happens. I wish I could activate that. I wish I could return to that more readily. Like I'm not a master meditator, so I have to use substances to bring myself deeper. So I've only done it a couple times, and I can't do it on purpose. Like people who meditate a lot and get good at it, I guess they can do it more. I guess some people do it every day, all day. Like some monk living in a mountain somewhere, he probably does it all day, every day. All right, guys, it's definitely time. So I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much to everybody who contributed and donated. Everybody who's still here, I appreciate you. EA, if you're still here, I appreciate you. I got to DM the guy. I haven't talked to him in like a couple months. Good to see everybody who I saw tonight. Twilight, Twisted Jack, Raquel. Haven't seen a Tropa in a couple weeks. Hopefully she's all right. Christian's here. So I appreciate everybody who commented and chatted tonight. I really appreciate you guys. Everybody who super chatted, thank you again. Gar, Patchy. There's a Twisted Jack and there's Twisted Jack. Let me do the thing I can see actually. Let's see. We had, special thanks to Jason Schneider. Patchwork. Damn it, Patchwork. You're spending too much money on it. Gar. So is Gar, Patchwork, and Jason Schneider. Thank you guys so much for your contributions. Thank you for helping put food on my table and making it possible for me to do these streams. Yeah. And again, anybody who's in the area, I will be going to Iron Garden tomorrow night in Newark. You can come meet me and my wife. We will be there like 8 till 1, 8 till midnight, maybe a little later. We'll see. Depends on how we're feeling. So if you're in the area, look up Iron Garden or look up QXTs. That's the club it's in. As in, here, I'll do it like this. QXTs. So come on and join us at QXTs if you got the time, if you're in the area. Have a beer with me or something. And yeah. All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much, guys. I will check you all next week. And until then, keep minding those shadows.